par with Ohio State and Texas, opinions on Arch Manning, opinions on Julian Sayin. But now we're at 1st and 20, Florida State on their 42-yard line. Would love for you guys over on X to come on over to CFB Express and jump in the chat. That's the only way this is fun. I'm not that interesting to just hear me babble on about things you can hear professional announcers on ESPN say, though I know most of the Florida State fans hate everything about ESPN, so maybe they'd rather actually hear somebody from Miami do some degree of play-by-play as we go, rather than hear the ESPN guys who they think got screwed them. We're at 2nd and 15, 4 minutes to go in the first quarter. All right, we're moving on to 3rd down here for Florida State. 3rd and 11. Castellanos in the shotgun. Refs just come in. Timeout, Alabama. Let's see if we can get some people. Hey, Carrie Garnell says, something like this is needed because a lot of Florida State fans like me turn down the volume not to listen to all the bullshit. Yeah, listen, I'm not going to sit here and act as Carrie knows. I'm a Miami fan, and I'm fine to troll in the good-natured way always, but I at least have respect for Florida State. I don't particularly for Notre Dame or Florida Gators. But if the trolling comes, I'm happy to dish it back out. Like I said, it's a win-win for me, but none of you heard this. If Alabama blows Florida State out as a rival, I get to laugh, right? It makes the game later on this year not as interesting. If Florida State pulls off the shocking upset, that's great for the strength of schedule of the ACC. It's great for the optics perception of the Big 12, the ACC, and everybody else against the SEC. And if it's a close game, I think that, I don't know if the Florida State fans will think there's a moral victory, but I think there's a bit of a moral victory if, as a 14-point dog in your own house when you're reopening it after a 2-10 season against a preseason number 10, quite often picked to make not only the playoffs but the championship game, there could be some value there. If Castellanos plays well and backs up the talk, even if it's not the best outcome, I think there's hope for the rest of the season. If he, did words that, said a bunch of stuff that, he can't actually cash that check with his performance, it's going to be a very different situation. FF Buffs, Rock, you can skip the Georgia Tech Colorado game because all I saw was really bad offensive design and play calling by Pat Shurmur and some basic offense by Georgia Tech. Yeah, the game was pretty, underwhelming is not the right word. I just expected more, but I can't tell you what I thought more was. Haynes King had some great moments. 3 turnovers in the first quarter for Georgia Tech, definitely not impressive. Only getting 7 points off of that from Colorado, definitely not impressive. Caden Salter had his moments. He also had his moments coming over as a transfer quarterback from Liberty. Getting 3 turnovers and only getting 7 points, exactly. We'll see. But again, those are only preseason games. I mean, they're out-of-conference games. It's not necessarily impacting Colorado's ability to compete in the Big 12. It's not also confirming that Georgia Tech's going to the playoffs, though. There are a lot of people who have them as a possible ACC championship contender, including Josh Pate, among others. Later on tonight, I think I said, but I can't remember when the mic wasn't on or not, like it was an amateur. We got Clemson and LSU, which should be a pretty amazing game. I think the Battle of Death Valley is the Battle of Tigers, 2 potential front runners for the Heisman from a quarterback perspective with Klubnik and Nussmeier. Later on, Utah and UCLA. My house is divided. UCLA is in the house here for sure. And we'll see what happens. And remember, if you're watching a live stream, sometimes you're a little bit behind. So I'm just seeing Carrie Garnell say, what a catch. And Florida State just catches the ball. I think I didn't see who it was, but a touchdown. I'm a little bit behind here on my screen, which is the downside of doing a live stream, but you guys just put your comments in and we'll catch up. I actually have a TV that's on speed, but it's out of view, and my computer's lagging, so I'm multiple seconds behind on the game on that one, but I'm going to see if I can get that to catch up a little bit. So this is, a 7-7 start. If you're Florida State, Castellanos connects, touchdown. I think you're in a happy zone, right? It's a better start probably than you felt last year during the Aer Lingus Classic against Georgia Tech, where things were a little bit unexpected. But tremendous catch, absolutely, to set up that touchdown. .304 to go in the first quarter. This could be a very interesting game if this first quarter gives us a hint of what's to come. If you're in the chat, please keep your eye on any other scores of interest, things that are going on in other games. It is week one. Games tend to be sloppy, but you never know when you're going to get an upset here or there. So definitely keep me posted as well as I try to focus on the Alabama-Florida State game over here to the left while talking up with you guys. Florida State looking spunky. Georgia Tech's D-line was not impressive last night. That was a weakness of Georgia Tech. Haynes King cannot survive again if he runs this much. Yeah, he was beat up all throughout last season. Their backup quarterback got a lot of burn as a result, and he was already hurting at the end of this game. I believe I heard that Haynes King was using his opposite arm when doing the post-game congratulations to the other guys in Colorado and his own team. So, all right, Alabama takes over at the 25. Handoff, stop for no gain. Good penetration there from Cryer. Figured let's do this. I'm sitting here on the couch watching the games. I don't get to see it on the big screen, but easier than texting all night long to people saying the same thing I could just say with my voice and do it a little bit easier. If you're in the YouTube chat, would love if you shared the link on your socials. If you're on Twitter, X, whatever, Instagram, see if we can get some more people into the chat and get some more conversation going. That would be awesome. But I'm watching the game either way, whether I'm talking to myself or you guys are hanging out with me. So. My wife's telling me I'm an asshole. If I'm paused for a while, it's either I'm doing something stupid, getting a drink, or my dog is barking, or all of the above at the same time. All right. 2 minutes to go. First quarter, second down for Alabama. Third down for Alabama. Interesting that Alabama's already burned 2 timeouts here in the first quarter. 3rd and 2, 46 seconds to go from the Florida State 38. Completed. First down, gained a little bit more, down at the 25. Bernard with the catch over the middle of the field from Ty Simpson. Yeah, Lee Corsa, great career. Great way to end it. For me, it didn't bother me whether he was hanging on. If he was happy that being there, I had no problem with it. I've had family that suffered from strokes and spoke a lot worse for a lot longer, and it was on his terms. I'm glad. Alabama, another completion from Ty Simpson over the middle to Isaiah Horton. That one kills. That one hurts. Miami transfer. And that ends the first quarter. And with that, see the Bombers join the room, and I'm going to add them on. But now I have to actually get my sound on from my earphone, so I'll probably screw something up, everyone. So be ready.
In a follow-up message, he said,
"What's up, Nate?
How we doing?
So are you going to make me a baby? Problem is,
We doing all right? No, I'm talking on my phone. So. Rock, can you hear me?
All right. Can you hear me now, Nate?
Yeah, I can hear you. Am I still not connecting? Because I can hear you.
I got you now. I'm trying to keep the game on one computer. I have a different computer. One earphone, shut off the Bluetooth, but then the speaker hears the background noise through the mic. So anyway, we got it right now. How you doing, man?
Right. Well, we went on this, real quick trip to Montana and on our way back, and I'm just getting caught up on everything that's been going on the last 12 hours or so. There have been some shocking results, man.
Yeah, for sure. So while we're in commercial break here, as Alabama's driving inside Florida State territory, and I'll try to do my really bad play-by-play. I think I'm more of a color kind of guy, but we'll see how that goes. What is? Did you catch the Texas Ohio State game this morning, or were you occupied? Like, did you get to watch it, or are you just aware of it?
No, I know it happened. I'm not totally certain of the final score, but I did hear some stat lines that give me a general idea. But the only question I have coming out of that is ASU or OSU absolutely the number one team in the country, and where does Texas drop to? That'll tell perceptions.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't know if we can even decide any of that until we have 2 more top 10 games played in the next 36 hours, right? I think you'll have to see Clemson and LSU. I think we have to see Clemson and LSU. I think we have to see Miami and Notre Dame. The other teams that are in the top 10 for the most part are not playing anybody theoretically, whatever that means on paper. I think that, and anyone in the chat can definitely comment in from a Texas Ohio State perspective. My first take is it's too early for me to make a decision on anybody. However, both defenses looked pretty good. Texas missed an opportunity to punch it in earlier in the game, which could have been critical. But Arch Manning was not good. Whether that's him, play calling, keeping the handcuffs on, there were at some points he made a couple of really great plays, in my opinion. There were other times he made the right decision, but was a half second off, and that was enough for it to not turn into something.
Right.
The running joke online was that there were more commercials than completions for him. So it wasn't good. But I personally don't think that Julian Sane was blowing anyone out the door either. So I think the defenses were really good. What I don't know is whether I think that those, what I thought of the offenses, that they were really bad. My gut is that they were bad today, but I don't know if that means I think they're going to be bad all year. But we got to see Clemson and LSU, right? And we have a very different situation there. Two very experienced quarterbacks coming in, right? Both of them who would potentially have a spot on stage for the Heisman later on this year if you just look at the projections. Now, granted, everyone had already anointed Arch Manning. By the way, he was my quarterback in my college fantasy league, so that goes to show you what I know. But I'm not ready to write him off. I think he's going to get dunked on, and then we will get the polarization effect, right? Of everybody loves him and everybody hates him. There's no freaking rational middle ground, and people who hate him only hate him because he's getting hype. But he didn't necessarily build the hype, but he was born into hype. So, what do you do? And Julian saying to me was okay. I wasn't super impressed. I also wasn't not impressed because I didn't expect him to be lighting it up, and they were running the ball, and it was just one of those kind of games. I'm sure Ohio State fans will have a different take. But either way, they held court. Ohio State held court. They could wind up being number one, depending upon the poll, right? They could wind up being, we could have a split number one depending upon how things go. There was a little bit of difference between the Associated Press poll and the coaches poll. Maybe that syncs up, but I don't know if we know until that actually happens. So, but it was definitely not the game I expected. I did expect a close game. I didn't expect the defensive slog that it was, and I didn't really take it as a great defensive kind of game. 3rd and 13 right now for Alabama as we kick off the second quarter on the FSU 32. And Ty Simpson is sacked at the 35-yard line. So that's where we are. We're 7-7. What do you think, Nate? We're a minute into the second quarter, 7-7 score, Alabama, Florida State. Alabama driving, but it looks like it's going to get stalled back around the 35-yard line. Unlikely for them to go to the fourth down. Is this what you would have thought we'd be talking about in this game after the first quarter, or you weren't really sure what to expect?
No, I think that's about what everybody should expect. Kalen DeBoer has his whole, for the most majority of it, coaching staff from Washington is now back down in Tuscaloosa with him now after the 1 year off. Offense and defense, and he's trying to replicate kind of what he did in Seattle, take other people's players and win with them. And he's proven he can do that in pretty short order. So I think Alabama is going to be better than people might be giving them credit for. The real question is, how much better can Florida State be? Because their star rating is as high as anybody in the top 20. They have players all over the field. So can they get the coaching they need to get over the top? Those are the questions I have from a game like this.
Oregon blocked a punt, held to a field goal by Montana State from Becky Go Huskies. Florida State has the ball, second down, and I was busy doing something, so I missed whether or not Carrie Knowles or Becky did Florida State did Alabama miss a field goal, or what happened there on the fourth down play? I wasn't looking as I was trying to fix some things here on the setup. If you guys could let me know.
Multi-station control.
It really is, and I'm doing it with 2 computers and 3 screens, so I'll be fine in another 15 minutes. But I wasn't planning on doing this. I thought that a few people else would be doing it, and since I just didn't feel like sitting on the couch watching, I figured I'd come on here and if I was talking to 3. So Florida State Alabama missed a 53-yard field goal, Nate.
Okay.
So that's where we are. We're now at third down, Florida State with the ball, 3rd and 5.
So, as we're letting that play out, and feel free to interrupt whenever you need to, I want introspection on Colorado, Georgia Tech, because that I did see a little of Georgia Tech, and they looked pretty good.
I thought that Georgia Tech looked like you could see the elements of a good team there, right? That's how I would say it. Florida State converts for first down. For Georgia Tech, three turnovers in the first quarter, not good. And as we said earlier, with Fergie, but at Georgia Tech not converting more than 7 points was a problem. At the end, Georgia Tech finished strong, but they kept Colorado was still in the game. They still had a chance. There was some questionable clock management there with Dion and Caden Salter. I saw the post-game press conference. I don't really buy you still shouldn't have walked out with, your quarterback shouldn't have run parallel to the hashtag if you knew that he had 2 timeouts. Castellano scrambles, gets him set up for a 3rd and 2 from the Alabama 38.
Oh, they're moving.
They are moving. 11 minutes to go in the second quarter. Yes, Castellanos is moving them. I got to tell you, Castellanos looks good, and I have dunked on him for his conversation and for growing 2 inches from the time he left Boston to time he landed in Tallahassee. But early, he looks good right now, right? With him and Gus Malzahn, got to give him credit where credit's due. I like to be fact-based, even if I'm trolling, unless people just come harsh, and then I just figure out how to end it. And like I said, I've always had respect for them. Castellanos keeps it and looks like he, on the option, and looks like he's there for first down. Will be looks like it'll be 1st and 10 from the Alabama 35-yard line. So back on the Colorado game, Georgia Tech did not look like the team that Josh Pate thinks will make it to the ACC championship game, but they didn't look like they didn't have the elements of the team that could do that, because there were moments where they look good. I just think that, and Fergie said this in the chat, I think that Haynes King's going to get killed if they don't do a better job, and that's exactly what I said for both him and Eli Holstein over from Pitt. 2 quarterbacks in the ACC that have all the potential in the world to do great things with their team if they can stay upright. So that would be the question I have there. Colorado's defense was better than I thought they were going to be, and there was an opportunity for them to win, which a lot of people, including myself, I think I predicted them to be like a 5-7 team. I don't know if they're a 5-7 team. They might be better than I thought, but they might be a 5-7 team. We got to wait and see. My boy Flo has taught me to not overreact. Reverse for Florida State. And broken tackle looks like it's a touchdown for Florida State. 32-yard run.
They're showing something, bro.
Makai Danzy, 32-yard rushing touchdown on the reverse. A couple of broken tackles. Alabama should have probably brought him down, tiptoes down the sideline, and Florida State is up 13-7 with 9 minutes and 13 seconds left to go in the second quarter, waiting for the extra point.
I'm of my belief that college football is better when the best brands are playing. So I want Florida State back. I want Miami back. I want, that's the halcyon days watching college football. So I hope they can turn the corner.
Absolutely. And listen, like I said earlier, this is one of those where as a rival, the channel we're doing here is trying to do National College Football Express, just like National College Football coverage, just like Nate. You can catch him over on the CFB Mafia channel. We'll drop that up on the links as well in a bit. We're trying to cover that, but I am a Miami fan, and my partners and I are transparent about that. But we dunk on Miami pretty hard at times, and I've defended Florida State more than most people in a lot of different things, and I've taken the shots when I thought they were warranted. I am in the Miami camp that gets grief from Miami fans of, I would prefer when Miami and Florida State lace them up for it to be undefeated versus undefeated and cause pain that way.
Yes.
I'm not going to lie that there was a perverse joy in watching your chief rival go 2-10 while you were coming back, but that still didn't take away the sting from losing to Syracuse and Georgia Tech as a Miami fan. But I prefer when Miami and Florida State as 2 rivals, when that game means everything, not just like bragging and ruining somebody's season. I'd rather ruin your season when you're both 9-0, personally.
Yeah,
so
I'd rather do it when you were both 11-0, but that's not always controllable. So,
welcome Daniel Gorby to the chat. Appreciate you jumping in.
Hey, Daniel.
We got Carrie here, Fergie here, a few people coming over. We got a bunch of people watching over on Twitter. They're just watching on Twitter. Come over and troll me over, and you don't have to troll Nate because BYU hasn't done anything yet. Though your former boy, looked really good today. Tulane looked good.
Yeah, he looked good. Everybody just needs to pump the brakes. He hasn't thrown a post fade yet. He hasn't drawn a deep seam yet. He has a bunch of Achilles heels that they will win a bunch of games if they don't call those particular plays. But today, his completion percentage was again 56%. He's historically over, I don't know, 6,000 passes. He's less than 58% total completion percentage, and he's historically a 1-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio person. So he is as good now as he's ever going to be. So if Tulane does a better job of coaching him away from his very obvious flaws, then they can be successful, especially with their schedule.
Yes. Well, the other part too, right? And you can't assume anything, right? But for the G5 race, right, where the beauty pageant of out of conference actually matters a ton more, right? Because you're competing with the champions of others. If you look at the top 5, top 10 possible most likely Vegas odds favorites for the G5 automatic qualifier spot, 2 of them took a loss already.
Yeah.
Boise State took a loss to South Florida, and then Army lost to Tarleton State. Yeah. And they weren't necessarily like the top 2, 3, or 4, but they were in the top 10 odds for possibly winning the AAC and coming in. So, that Tulane win while 2 other, relative G5 favorites lost, including Boise State, in really bad fashion.
Yes.
That makes that victory, more significant. And it was against, a Power 4 team. It might have been a lower Power 4 team, but it was against Northwestern. So
it was.
You'll appreciate this.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, you'll appreciate this. Of course, ESPN is dragging up the 2023 season and not making the playoffs without, of course, no self-acknowledgement of their involvement in that, as they're now showing the 2-10 season as they're doing all the Mike Norvell sideline shots.
All
right. First and 10 Alabama taking off from their own 25, incomplete from Ty Simpson.
See, I question the third and fourth quarter, and then you can decide whether you have to try to win in the air. I think it's too early in the season. You don't know what you have yet. You have horses in front of you, and they're paid to move players. So I question putting a guy that's fresh and new in that position with all the pressure, kind of like what happened with Manning, and just saying, go out and win it for us. If they just hand the ball off, they were doing pretty good. So I really question DeBoer doing that.
Yeah, it was we shall see what how it all ultimately plays out. We got third down right now, 8:45 left, as they trigger me by showing a shot of Isaiah Horton, transferred to Alabama from Miami. Ty Simpson incomplete over on the right, to the right of the right hashtag. 4th and 8. FSU's defense, man, they're showing up. They're showing up.
They're playing complimentary football.
They are playing way better than my amateur ass thought they were going to play. But then again, I feel like Nick Saban compared to Paul Feinbaum, who predicted that Arch Manning might walk on water today. So it's all relative.
Yeah. The Florida State turnaround has been so jarring for everyone. It was just as easy to write off a 13-0 season as it's going to be to write off a 2-10 season if they immediately flip the script again. They'll just forget about the middle year, and it'll be back to Florida State's back on top of the ACC. And that could absolutely happen this year.
And for sure, and that last play, as I'm seeing it, the defense had a great pressure on Simpson, hit his arm as he was throwing the ball out. So that's what definitely helped to cause that from happening. Fergie comments, Tony White is a very good defense coordinator, and Nebraska sure misses him. Yeah, that's another one. We'll get to Baylor and Auburn in a second, but since Fergie's bringing up Tony White, Big Ten outside of Ohio State, do you think that these MAC games where, they won or Rutgers was in it for a while, or Big Ten's not looking so solid so far in these week ones? And again, we're just talking about what's happened. There's 11 more games to go. I think we're making any big decisions in a world where you don't have to go undefeated for anything to matter anymore. But do you have a general take on the Big Ten? Because the Big 12 conversation, I think, is going to be a little bit longer.
I think the Big Ten is what it is, and there are people that want to paint it in a very rosy light.
Right.
And there are people that want to paint it in a progressive light that says, even if we're not the strongest now, we possibly could be by adding additional weapons. And so I've never changed my mind that they're a 3-4 team at the top, and then you have 6 teams that rotate in and out, sort of like a promotion relegation every year.
Right.
It is going to be a cycle up and then cycle down. In the Big Ten, that's how I see it. The SEC, I see more machine-like, but it's a system that's going on in the Big Ten. So in my opinion, it's fun because that means a lot of teams can compete. But outside of Ohio State, is there another program that you absolutely point to this second and say, go get me 5 yards for a national championship? I don't think there is.
Right.
Maybe Penn State.
Yeah, look, I think Penn State, I think Oregon we'll have to see, though. Becky put in that there was a player or two that have not been that impressive in their FCS games so far today.
It's hard to get up for those FCS games, though.
For sure, then don't schedule them.
I agree. I'm totally with you, brother.
Do a G5 game.
I didn't even want G5. I had one all A4. I want to play good football games.
Look, I'm not opposed to the P4 teams playing in G5 because I do know for some of those programs that check is the difference between life and death by having one of those games on. So if we're not going to fix the sport, then I don't want those to necessarily hurt the sport more by doing that. But in theory, I would agree with you on that. Carrie Gornills in the chat says Gus Malzahn is calling a great game so far. Yeah, maybe he's Chip Kelly 2025, right? Another head coach who goes down. Look, again, it's not even a first half, but he's clicking with Tony, Castellanos, which I'm impressed by because I wonder what that dynamic relationship would be since Castellanos had transferred out of his program. He was originally at UCF. Florida State takes over 1st and 10 from their own 21. Castellanos complete. First down and another 5 yards on top of that, out of bounds on the left side to Robinson.
I would be cautioning people in Tuscaloosa right now. Just go take your boost bar and just relax.
I mean, like I said, this is a win-win as a rival fan. But the more win is if SEC is in full drama mode. If Alabama and Texas were to lose, Castellanos hands off up the middle for a couple of yards. But tell you what, Florida State's really actually has some push off of the line right now. And Alabama has one of the top, theoretically, on paper, right? Every caveat I have, has one of the top 5 on paper defensive lines, maybe even top 3. And I know this because I spent an hour looking at it and breaking it down for a show with Flo on the channel. And, it wasn't like there was one list out there that Alabama wasn't there. So if you're looking at Florida State and their lines holding up well against that defensive line, that might be the best sign I think I'm even seeing for Florida State. Handoff up the middle again. complete, dragging people for a 14, 15-yard gain.
Yeah,
Wow. The ground would shake if the spread was 14 and it wasn't the way that people thought it was going to be.
Right. I had Alabama winning, but not winning the SEC and not winning, about getting to a playoff, but maybe not even hosting a playoff game. I don't think they're national championship material. At least I haven't felt like that today. I could change my mind in 5 weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
But Kalen DeBoer and his system is a one-trick pony. That's why he only lasts a few years in each school. He comes in, takes players that are already really good, coaches them up for 1 year, and then goes out and tries to win something. And then, hey, look, there's another job over there. Let's do the same thing and rinse and repeat. And I don't see him staying long-term at Alabama.
Well, he might not get to stay long term if they don't turn it around this year. 2nd and 7 for Florida State. Castellanos leaves the pocket, escapes, gets the first down, and 7 more. First and 10 for Florida State at the Alabama 32. Nate, you being on the phone is going to make me actually get good at doing this play-by-play crap. I just don't have a roster in front of me with everybody's numbers, so I can say like the tight end or the running back or the wide receiver. By the end of the quarter, I might have numbers down, but when Castellanos just does a keeper, it's a lot easier to do that.
Well, Giff, at halftime when I was down on the field, it was really looking chalky down there, and I don't think these guys are going to get the grip they really think they're going to get.
1st and 10, short gain, 2nd down for Florida State.
If you did Pat Summerall, I'd give you John Madden.
I wish I had that. What's that voice work? That comedian, his name, that does all the NFL stuff with Fox. If I had his ability to do voices, I would do it. They would come out really bad. I can probably impersonate like Ute with milking, but it still wouldn't sound like him. It would just be the right words. 2nd and 8 for Florida State from the Alabama 31-yard line. Castellanos is back to pass. Get some penetration. And he's off as well, knocked out of bounds after a short gain, 3 or 4 yards. 3rd down for Florida State.
Man, I'm starting to get a little, my spider sense is going up.
It would be amazing.
After the season they just came off of, people wanting to burn the building to the ground and fire everybody.
Oh, absolutely. It would be a tremendous turnaround. Castellanos back to pass again. 3rd and 4.
Answers.
Waiting for the call from the ref. Complete, not complete. 4th and 4, incomplete. I think I lost you there, Nate.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay. All right. 45-yard field goal attempt for Florida State, up 14-7 with 3 minutes and 50 seconds left in the first half.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. And the kick is up, but there's a flag on the play. It's waiting for the call.
Something's going on. Give me 1 second, Rock. I'm going to go on mute for a sec.
Sure. Carrie, what was the call there? I missed it. Thanks, Fergie. So there was a timeout there to avoid the delay of game for everybody who's watching over on X. We're in a TV timeout. Commercials. If you want to support the channel, please hit the like button. If you're over on X on Twitter, please definitely come join us as well. Super chats are available. Any other support, we're starting members as well. But I'm just glad to have everybody over here. Let's get a little bit of a live practice with all of you as guinea pigs as we try this out. What's up, Flo? Flo's in the house, waving, looking at me, thinking I'm a clown as he gets ready for Miami and Notre Dame tomorrow. Kerry Go Knowles, our new freshman running back is legit, number 32. Yeah, it looks pretty legit so far, man. Again, this is supposed to be a very strong Alabama defense, but in particular on the defensive line, and you got to give Florida State credit. Like, they're exceeding my expectations. And, you know, when we were talking about our picks earlier this week, and I did not pick Florida State, and I did not pick them to cover. Let's hold up for a second. We're in the 45-yard attempt, 4th and 4 for the field goal here for Florida State from the right hash. And it is good. Florida State, a 13.5 to 14.5 point underdog. Florida State, a 13.5 to 14.5 point underdog, is now up 10 on Alabama with a few minutes left to go in the second quarter. The one downside of trying to do this live stream right now is that X must be melting down, and I'm missing that. So feel free to drop in your favorite links or tweets that are making you laugh your ass off as we have so much fun from. I got you, Nate. We got you back.
Haley's on the phone. Okay,
can you
great.
Nate, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. So what you missed, Florida State hit a 45-yard field goal, a 50. So they're now up 17-7 with 3 minutes and 44 seconds left in the game. If you took Florida State and the points, you're up 23 to 24.5 points right now, and you are a happy Seminole or a happy Seminole supporter at the moment.
And I'm telling everybody, listen, whether Alabama or Seminole fan, this next drive by Alabama could be the game changer. If Alabama goes down and gets a field goal, everything sort of gets reset. But if they turn the ball over on downs and have to punt, and Florida State comes down and gets, a field goal, let alone a touchdown, that could be the game. So
absolutely, and as Kerry Go Knowles mentions in the comments here, Florida State gets the ball first in the second half as well. So, so all sorts of stuff can be going on that will be making people lose their minds, and I'm here for it. I like chaos. I am the person for my college football playoff. I picked, I do not have 4 SEC teams going. I do not have 4 Big Ten teams going. Alabama, the run off to the left side on first down, pick up of 6 or 7 yards, second down for Alabama, 3 minutes and 32 seconds left in the second quarter.
And they still have that 2-minute timeout now. So
Yes,
they get an extra down too.
they do. Second down, short gain off the left-hand side again. It'll be third and a long 2. It's looking like. I'm impressed, man. I'm impressed. I'm more impressed with with Florida State's game than me not having technical difficulties doing that for the first time. So, all respect, all respect to them.
So I've never done one of these view cast-alongs. Greg's done a ton of them, and I've seen you do at least maybe this is your first one. But how do you like doing? In other words, being the play-by-play of a play-by-play.
It's not as bad as I would thought. Alabama's back, complete over the middle for first down at the Alabama 40-yard line. I would rather there be more comments in, but that is the love of like putting it on Twitter when you're still a younger channel, right? In terms of everything, but it's okay. It's better than sitting here and just using my thumbs on Twitter on my phone, saying the exact same crap. I can say it better here. And maybe a few people will find this and come in and enjoy it. Another completion to Alabama on the left-hand side, falls down before getting to the first down. The ground tackled them. So good job to the groundskeepers as young of gains. It looks like it gained 7 or 8 yards on that completion from Ty Simpson. But yeah, man, it's actually, it's not too bad. I would do it again. And if, people hung out, like, who knows, maybe I'll come back on and do later tonight. If I don't want to compete against our friends, on there. Sometimes it's good to sit back and not be in control, but it's not too bad. Carrigo Knowles, thanks for the super chat, my friend. $4.99. So much for Alabama's 90% winning percentage of winning the game. It's early, but it's getting later in the early right here, and that 13.5 points isn't making Alabama fans feel any better. For those who are okay with just the victory and not worry about what their losses are, I happen to know that Carrigo Knowles will be very happy on a number of levels, from actual being a fan to financial, should this whole score or something close to this hold true. Thanks very much for the super chat, Carrie. Greatly appreciate it. But yeah, Nate, I think you'd be good doing it. Especially, I have no intention of doing this for the Notre Dame Miami game. Let's to be clear, I don't think I could do it like our friend Rec Talk does it for Georgia Tech games, because I probably would have the channel get taken down. We will keep this going on through halftime for sure. I might just go grab a drink. But again, would love if everybody who's watching over on X come on over, because really came on to talk to people, and whether we've spoken before or not, just come in, man, or lady, and let us know what you think of what's going on with this game, how you feeling if you're an Alabama fan, how you're feeling if you're a Florida State fan, and how you're feeling as a college football fan. Big day in college football. The first of 3 top 10 matchups, which has never happened in the AP era in week 1. The last time there were 3 top 10 matchups in 1 week was back in 2017. So it's an amazing weekend. You have, what's already happened with Ohio State, Texas. You have Lee Corso's farewell, a legend that did so much for the sport. So it's a huge weekend. I got you back now, Nate.
Yeah, but I've had these headphone issues, operator errors. So sorry about that.
No worries. You have headphone issues. I have downloading a file that's not transparent and covering the whole screen issues. So we all have our issues, and you're keeping me company as you're driving. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, my children. It's great to have adult children. Being the dad that's always driven the bus, it's nice to be able to take one trip off.
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine.
Yeah. So where are they at? I didn't catch the latest update on where they are on the field.
Alabama's driving. It's 2nd and 4. It's definitely raining at this point. If it was raining before, I wasn't able to see it, but I caught the right camera angle, the right camera angle right now on the left-hand side. I'm watching the game on my laptop to the left of my computer screen. The big screen's over to the left. If I do that, you guys will be seeing the back of my head the whole time. But I took a quick glance and saw the rain with a higher resolution. But it's 2nd and 4. They are on – Alabama's on their own 47 and just completed barely. Crossed the 50-yard line, 1st and 10 for Alabama. On the screen, the rain looks like it's really picking up. If anyone in chat or is seeing that as well to confirm, but you can see the rain coming down. So Alabama is definitely moving in treacherous territory here. Cats and dogs, as Carrigo Knowles says, and that is not going to make Alabama's job any better. So the rain gods are giving the underdog at home the benefit of the torrential rain just as we cross under the 2-minute mark, 1:55 left, 3rd and 4. Alabama, I guess I feel like we missed something. Play must have been canceled, or maybe the timeout hit because they didn't get the first down. Now it's Ty Simpson holds on to the ball and is held behind the first down conversion. So FSU. So I guess they must have ran out of time on that previous play before the 2-minute warning or 2-minute penalty, 2-minute timeout. Ty Simpson keeps the ball. It looked like it was a planned run or his own option, and Florida State tackles him behind the line of scrimmage or right at the line of scrimmage. It's 4th and 3 on their own 47. Florida State fans are losing their minds. 1:46 to go, and you would expect that our friends in Tallahassee are going to get the ball,
and they are going to go for the jugular.
I don't know if they're going to go for the jugular because they get the ball back, right? Like the last thing you want to do is if they get the ball deep in their own territory after what they've been able to achieve so far, have a mistake. But I guess it depends upon what happens on this punt. Maybe if I was going to do anything, maybe you come after the punt, right?
Oh, I misunderstood you. I thought you said he was stopped on 4th down.
He was Alabama, but now Florida State's going to get the ball. Trying to see where the ref is marking it, if it was a touchback or if they're giving him credit. It's a touchback. So Florida State will have the ball with 1:36 left. They had a chance. Alabama had a possibility of downing it on the 3. Yes. But instead, Florida State gets the ball, 1st and 10, 1:36 to go. Both teams have one timeout.
And if you're the defense and you're the offense, who do you think has more leverage at this point? I think the way Florida State's playing, they're gonna have the split second on the dirty cuts.
They are. They're going to be familiar with the field. They're more used to practicing in rain. I would imagine, even though they have an indoor. This is just Florida, right? So I'm imagining that they're going to have it. They hand it off. Gain of 7 on 1st down. We'll see right now. If they don't call a timeout, you would think that they're content to just. Nope. Looks like Florida State is calling a timeout. It appears to me.
I love it.
Unless they're just giving them a temporary stop to set the ball up that I'm not aware of. But Florida State has a great run game going right now, better than expected.
Yeah.
I don't see a timeout being taken down from them, but the clock did stop. So I'm trying to just figure out what happened right there because they didn't get the first down, and I don't think I missed a different rule change for the year.
No, you're right. I don't remember one either.
All right, so I think it was just to mark the ball. No, I don't even know. It's 1:26. The clock's not running. Not sure what happened there, but either way, 2nd and 6.
So
Florida State hands off up the middle, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2 for Florida State. 1:19 to go.
Okay. Daring to hurry up.
Oh, helmet came off of a Bama player. That's why there was a hold on the time.
Okay. Are they in 2-minute drill?
They're not rushing it. No, I mean they're not huddling, but they're certainly not
Okay.
trying
That's
to rush. I think they're trying to milk the clock. Well, they're on their own 28-yard line with 49 seconds and only one timeout in a
I get
thundering
it.
rain.
Yeah, I understand.
And they are getting the ball back.
I also understand they went 2-10 last year, and they need to do things different.
Well, they got a first down and got the ball out of bounds. So I don't know if that will change anything for them, whether they try to take a little bit of a shot, maybe get themselves a field goal and a relatively risk-free field goal shot, but they still have a decent, they have to get a bunch more yards. They're on their own 32-ish, give or take.
This is what I picture. I'm just game playing this in my head, and the Alabama DBs do not want to give it up. They're playing tight. Their offense has not been great, and I think if I'm going to lean on one of these two programs right this second to make a play, it's Florida State's offense if they have the guts to take a couple shots.
Yeah, it's they ran the ball again, went out, got a short gain. Clock stopped as he ran out of bounds. It's raining there. It's hot as hell over here. Usually where I live in the West Coast is not very hot. I'm by the ocean, but it is
right.
It is hot. Or maybe it's the light that's on so you can actually see me. But either way.
No, I got you. We're 100 degrees here or something. So.
Yeah. So let's see. 30 seconds ago, 2nd and 8 for Florida State. Man in motion. Almost ball went. Snap was not good. Picked up by the running back. I don't know if that was a save. That was an accident. Looks like it was almost a muff there that didn't get the ball back to Castellanos. But Florida State recovered the ball, advanced a little bit, and they might have lost a yard. With 13 seconds left on the clock and 30 seconds on the play clock, I'm sure that's the last play. So Florida State, 13.5 to 14.5 point underdogs, heads into the locker rooms up by 10 over top 10 Alabama, where it just means more. And what I think it means is more pain for Kalen DeBoer right now all along Crimson Tide land. And they better get their act together because there might be pitchforks on the way. If they return back as 14-point favorites to Tuscaloosa with a loss to a team that they probably don't have the proper respect for. Mike Norvell has his troops rallied on the sidelines before heading off into the sidelines. So, hey, man, big props to Florida State. That was an excellent first half for them. There's literally no way you could argue that. Castellanos looked pretty good, really good. Not listening to what the sideline comments are with Mike Norvell, but 17-7, Nate, what's your take?
I'm impressed. I just think this is why we should require week 0, week 1 games of this type every year. And as well as I do, they used to do kickoff classics and these special type of range every year, and they were special marquee games. Realignment blew the world apart. We don't get so much of that. Now there's this aversion to strong out-of-conference games. So we need to do whatever we can to bring games like this, inter-conference games back like this at the beginning of the season.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, I love these kind of games. I like the anytime, any place motif. That's actually what I respected. That's what I loved about Miami as a program back in the day and continuing. That's what I loved about Florida State. Miami-Florida State rivalry wasn't always week 1. It wasn't always at the end. It's always been all over the place, including being opening week. Both schools had that. BYU has had that by necessity, but as well as by choice. And then other people are like, well, it was a rough first week. We're playing a G5. We weren't rusty. I don't really want to hear it, to be honest with you. But nonetheless, excellent first half. Just looking at the scores that are on the screen to my left, Georgia, of course, up 21-0 at Marshall, though that's not really that impressive. No offense to our friends in Marshall. So, Nate, we talked about Georgia Tech and Colorado before, and I'll flip the channels over here to see if there's anything interesting on the 4 box. But what was your take on Baylor and Auburn? And I appreciate you sticking with me as long as you want. Like, and you're welcome to stay, but don't feel obligated either. I know you're with a bunch of people. But what was your take on the Auburn Baylor game? And I guess a broader question, granted only after a couple of games, but you saw K-State, Iowa State last week, two big out of conference games last night. Like, state of the Big 12 early on in this non-conference optics moment.
Well, just to start off with, I love you asking me questions and me not having to do all that work. So I'll stick around as long as you need me to. But,
you trained me, man. You trained me.
I think I did a pretty good job. I would say this. Look, it's not a great look, but it is week 0, week 1.
Right.
We're not winning in the national championship in week 0, week 1, no matter how much everybody wants to make those pronouncements. But I think you and I are on the same page. We don't even need polls till we get to October even. So it takes a little bit of time to sort out these conferences. Now, it's one thing to just lose and say, oh, we lost. We didn't win one of these interconference games. It's another way how you lose. And,
right.
The Big 12 has not lost well. Refs, not refs. Baylor didn't deserve to win that game, in my opinion. Colorado actually had a chance to steal one, and that of all the games probably might have been the most optimistic. But Kansas State. Where are they going to be in 5 weeks? We just don't know. So as far as the Big 12 goes, I think it's just going to take a little bit of time. There's always going to be the idiots that jump to the new shiny thing. Hello, everybody. Google search Utah to the Big 10 next week and have fun with that. That'll give you some toilet reading while you're doing your business. But if we're really talking about real concrete, true to life, physical things, the conference is going to be up for grabs for weeks and weeks.
And conversely, let's just game theory this out a second. Georgia Tech wins last night against Colorado.
Yeah.
Syracuse, gets kind of blown out as perspective. It was, back and forth scoring wise, but it was pretty much always in control for Tennessee. And shout out to Aguiar there, who had a crazy wild ride from Appalachian State to UCLA before landing over here. And they put up a lot of points on Tennessee. So Syracuse's defense is either terrible or Tennessee's offense is totally fine without Nico after game 1. Again, no big overreactions.
Right.
But then the question is, if Florida State pulls this off, and then the ACC has 3 massive games, 5 or 6 really big games, and 8 consequential Power 4 out of conference games this weekend. They had Georgia Tech, Colorado. Yeah. That was a win. Syracuse, Tennessee, not a win, right? But also not expected. Florida State is up 10 on Alabama. Massive win if they win that game. If this second half holds true from the first half.
Right.
You got, let's just say LSU and Clemson, the favorite by 4 wins tonight. If in this first day and a half of it, right, if you have ACC 3-1 out of conference, do you think that's helping to change? Is that helping with the narrative? Is it helping even Big 12 vicariously, right, by the so-called P3 and P4, whichever order you want to put them in, taking down some big teams with a few other games pending? We still will then have Miami, Notre Dame, Virginia Tech at South Carolina, TCU at North Carolina, even Cal is playing out of conference, against their former power conference mates, Oregon State, later tonight. How do you since everything is being judged Big 12 versus ACC, how do you think that's looking optics for 1 week? But we only get 2 or 3 weeks of this out of conference land comparison to build up your strength of schedules out of conference. How are you looking at all of that?
I think if everybody wins that I expect wins, and we'll just throw in Florida State as a bonus, a happy bonus, because I love Florida State. It's just like I love Miami. then I think the SEC is going to make the argument they're the number one conference in the first 2 weeks of the season, and they're because they did go out and one of the rivalries is within conference, but is out conference. That's Notre Dame, Miami, so they get a double dip on that one. But the perception standpoint, if you guys win, if Clemson beats LSU, and you guys really pin the ears back and give Notre Dame the drubbing that they deserve, then I do believe there's a chance to have 4 to 5 ACC schools in the top 12, 15.
Right.
And what was it to start with? It was 2, right? It was Clemson and
two
and
in the
Miami.
top
So,
10, 2 in the top 10, SMU in the 15 to 20th range, and then
Right.
just outside of the top
Yeah.
25, you have Louisville lurking there, Georgia Tech lurking there.
yeah, I think that the perception is reality anymore. So whatever that narrative is, people will run with it, and it doesn't even have to be right. But if it's perceived to be accurate, people will just start using it like, it's been burned into the Bible for thousands of years.
Yeah, man. It's fascinating to make the transition from talking about all the off-field issues, the business issues, the realignment. Like,
Yeah.
here we are in week 1, and Thursday night we get one of the first upsets. Kansas State, Iowa State last week was, I don't consider that an upset. You have number 17 versus number 21. It's
Right.
great to have the actual games back for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. Another super chat from Carrigo Knowles. Thomas Castellanos for Heisman
Yay,
consideration if he blows out Bama. Hey, man, like the tiers that will come would probably be Heisman worthy. I mean, I might want to keep streaming, but I to miss the real-time reaction of people losing their minds if Alabama and Texas both lost today. I mean, talk about what an epic week 1 just from the narrative. I'm of the mindset, and I know I'm an outlier on this. I believe that the qualifiers, SEC, I think is the strongest football conference. I don't even think it's particularly close. All top to bottom, right? Like, and I think the gap between the top and the bottom overall, the quarters is significant. I think there's great coaches. I think there are great fan bases, and I still think the ACC jumped the shark with their crying over the playoff last year after not caring at all about what happened to Florida State. And I think that things like that, plus manifestos and propaganda pieces, even if based by fact, and then things like the FPI suddenly changing as a metric-based thing over the course of 7 or 8 weeks with no games being played and none of the so-called metrics underneath it having actually changed because there were no recruits. The returning production didn't change. I think that has hurt at least some of the pool of those that make the perception, let alone what could then influence the playoff committee. And if you have if 3 SEC teams lose in the top 10 today, it is going to have ramifications because they can't sit there and talk about strength of schedule, strength of record, all these things, and then have head-to-head against the ACC and Big Ten in the case of Ohio State, Texas, and have the same complaint and have the same thing. I believe that just like I didn't agree with anybody at all personally on the go for the AQ because you might not get more than one, because I think the optics of that are damaging forever on recruiting basis, and just let things play out. And the longer people fight, the more things can change, right? That's my perception. I know others disagree, but I'm going to die on that hill. Today could be an epic day for like another kink, another thing in that armor, right? Another chink in that armor.
I think that we have found the soft jelly center of this whole mess, and it has nothing to do with any of the conferences we've been speaking about. It resides in the Big Ten, and it's their ability or their demand to have guaranteed places up to and including up to 7 guaranteed places, so that they didn't want to worry about anything in the season, and they knew what they were going to get at the end of the year, and they were going to have the most access guaranteed, and the rest of the world calling boo on that. And
Right.
and then directly after that, in a black box, FPI changes overnight without any transparency. It was changed. We just don't know what it was changed to. And the third thing that happens is then the softened RPI, and then you have strength of schedule and strength of record, which again is another chink into the Big Ten armor. I think all of this is going to rotate not around the whiny Big 12 and ACC. At the end of the day, you and I have been doing this a minute. I think it is still going to continue to be whatever happens to the Big Ten will dictate the rest of it. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I'm gonna just pull up right now on screen so I can at least bring you up to date on some of the other scores that are going on.
Sure.
Right now, Indiana is up 27-7 in the fourth quarter against Old Dominion. Shout out to Indiana, Kurt Signetti, and your massive scheduling changes for the future. Then watching the SEC turn it around.
Right.
Penn State is up 27-3 in Nevada as they begin the third quarter. Georgia, as we mentioned, up 24-0 over Marshall at halftime. Iowa State up 20 on South Dakota in the beginning part of the third quarter. Oregon's up 30.
Look good.
Yeah, Oregon's up 31-3 in the second on Montana State, so maybe they had one little blip. We're still waiting for Oklahoma to kick off against Illinois State. Florida to play the almighty Long Island University. You know exactly what that is, and that's bloody. They shouldn't even have odds on that.
Oh my gosh!
I wonder if Texas A&M, which is kicking off at 4:00 Eastern against UTSA, could be a sneaky game, even if only for a little while. Don't know, but maybe. So that's the most of the top 25 games that are in play here. Let's see if anything else on the Big 12 side has come up. Nope, we are West Virginia blew out Robert Morris 45-3, as one would expect. So big victory there for Rich Rod in his return. Louisville is dunking on Eastern Kentucky 48-7 with 5 left in the third quarter. From the ACC side, Tennessee beat out, as we said earlier, beat Syracuse by 19. Pittsburgh rolled big against Duquesne 61-9. Boston College rolled over Fordham 66-10. Enjoy that while you can. BC. I did watch a bit of Wake Forest last night, if you can believe it. I think Stanford looked good compared to Wake Forest, even though Wake Forest won. That was not a good game for not promising for Wake Forest, and not that I expected it, but just considering new coach, it's going to take a minute there if anything ever happens. And then the Big Ten, we mentioned the Indiana game, Penn State, Oregon. The Thursday night games, Maryland 39-7 over FAU. Purdue 131. Actually, I don't know if that was Thursday night. Earlier today, Maryland 39-7. Purdue 31-0 over Ball State. Tulane beat Northwestern 23-3. The Thursday games, I think, were the ones that put some questions to me about the Big Ten, with Rutgers only winning by 3 over Ohio. Minnesota was a little bit better, 23-10 over Buffalo, a little bit better opponent. Nebraska eking it out, 20-17 over Cincy. Wisconsin, 17-0 over Miami of Ohio. Let's see what kind of interesting scheduling did the SEC have outside of a few of the games here. We mentioned Arkansas is up 10 in the second quarter over Alabama A&M. Mississippi State did beat Southern Miss, has a whole new roster there, essentially, 34-17. And Kentucky with one of those, you won. So Kentucky beat Toledo 24-16. So another,
nice.
Another G5 possible top 10 contender for the AQ. Took a loss, but this was to Kentucky, at Kentucky, down only by 8. Kentucky's in purgatory with Mark Stoops. They can't afford to fire him, even if later this year they want to. From what I understand, But those are the current scores. Nothing super interesting that we weren't already expecting. And as our friend Carrigo Knowles says, SEC, SEC, SEC.
It just
But
means more.
it just means more. And look, it's great stuff.
Should
but
touch on one thing.
Go right.
The last game, Utah at UCLA.
UCLA, correct. Yeah.
Utah actually that game, they come in all hyped on proven statistically without winning statistically merited an entire offensive staff and players, both and old El Dorado sitting at the state of Utah football stadium, and they think it'll all just work, sort of like the train machine on the Fat Candy Factory movie. And it's possible it could be genius, and they could put up 500 yards and 7 touchdowns and just take UCLA to school. I'm just telling everybody, UCLA is not playing. They don't want to be embarrassed. They want to be in the Big Ten for real. So they're not just going to lay over just because they're wearing powder blue uniforms. And Utah is trying to build a stake out of a MacGuffin. And I'm not sure how that's going to translate. So that's a game I really care about.
Oh, I'll be watching that one and, maybe be on here again, regardless if I'm talking to the void. But I picked UCLA. I picked them with the spread, and I don't think it's out of the question they're going to win. While Ute obviously is huge on them, they have a great offensive line. There's excitement over Dampier and the offensive coordinator coming over from. I know it's New Mexico. I can never remember if it's New Mexico or New Mexico State.
It's New Mexico.
And they all think, just like everybody thinks that the Notre Dame is going to have half the attendance at Hard Rock. They're not. That's not what's happening, and it's not what's happening at the Rose Bowl. There will be a lot of Utah fans there, for sure. Yeah. But UCLA is selling tickets. They have Nico. He's been doing a lot of work in the community. I would guess if it will be like at worst a 70-30 split. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. I can tell by how high the ticket prices are or not on StubHub that I don't think there's a ton of people coming in.
This morning they were $15 this morning.
Right. So I don't think it's gonna, the Rose Bowl is huge. There'll be a large crowd there, but I don't think it's gonna be completely red. And that the UCLA fans are not excited about. They had not a great record last year, but there were promising signs for the program.
Right.
And they have Nico, and people, this is a star town out here in Los Angeles, and people are going to be interested in seeing it. And people are, crapping on him in a different way than I think they're crapping on Carson Beck, right? But it's not for very different reasons. But at the end of the day, he was the quarterback that he was for a reason. So as we head out, we've kicked off here. Florida State's taking over with 1st and 10 from their 15-yard line. Castellanos hands it off, and first play from scrimmage, like 7 or 8 yards on the run. Tempest is here. Let's go Knowles. Let's get this ball after halftime and march down the field.
Let's go.
Reassures me that I'm not talking to the void. You may have noticed, I'm doing play-by-play probably more for Bomber's sake than anybody else's, since he's in the car. They did have the ball in the 15. They took it out of the end zone, and they should have just, at that point got in there at 25, right? Yeah. Which is what Fergie's bringing up. I don't know. Coaching is everything, ultimately. And 2nd down, Florida State converts for the 1st down. So it doesn't seem to be raining.
That was pretty easy.
That was pretty easy. That halftime speech certainly didn't come to pass on the first couple of plays out of scrimmage. So Florida State 1st and 10 to kick off here in the second half. Again, if you are watching over on Twitter or X, appreciate it. Definitely like that you're watching, but we're here to chop it up and talk and answer questions and hear your guys' feedback. We can't do that on Twitter and X. Would love if you came over to CFB Express on YouTube, smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. We cover a bunch of stuff from game watch parties to recruiting to our weekly shows. Have a lot of great guests, whether it's our friends from the CFB Mafia to Eric McLean from the ACC Network. I have Nate Bomber Brown, the chief mafiosa from the CFB Mafia channel. You guys should definitely be following him on X and Twitter. I'll put that stuff up and drop it into the chat as well. Appreciate him joining. If you're someone I know and you want to jump into the conversation with us, just let me know. I'm happy to drop you a link to join us. Castellanos drops back, incomplete to the right-hand side. It will be 3rd and 8. 13 minutes to go. Florida State from their own 29-ish.
What are his measurables, Rock? I don't know how big he is.
Let's find out what the true measurables are. I like to joke, but I don't even know if I was joking that Castellanos.
I thought it was like 5'7" or 5'8".
I like to joke that he gained height the minute that he landed in Tallahassee.
That's just like the recruiting rankings. You land somewhere and you lose 2 stars. So.
But he's reported at 5'11", weight 201. I think that seems to be a stretch to me. But whatever his height is, Doug Flutie was 5'8" when he became a legend.
Yeah.
Offsides on Florida State, so that'll push them back a little bit further. It will be 3rd down and 13. But yeah, like 5'11", 201 is the current measurables I'm seeing on the Seminoles site. He is originally from Waycross, Georgia, went to UCF, transferred to Boston College, had some moments there, then had some not so good moments, whatever happened with him and Bill O'Brien, and transferred over to FSU this offseason. But those are his measurables. Drops back to pass. Picks up like 8, but it'll be 4th and 4, 4th and 5 for Florida State, likely punting.
I probably would have been higher on Florida State as a team if I knew that Florida State had a name brand coming in, like a Carson Beck. I'm not saying he was available or they had the money to spend that, but I think the Florida State team, I have faith in the rest of the team, even after that horrible season. The quarterback is where, the heartbeat is driven, and especially in these programs that rely on maybe smaller, more janky type players like a Dampier at Utah. They're going to try to do, right?
Absolutely.
The RPO, all those things, they have to be extra perfect. There's not a large margin of error, and that's not a pun. I also mean there's not a large margin of error because you're not very big, so you can't get hurt. What's the one thing Utah hasn't done for 5 years? Get one quarterback through an entire season. So
yeah, it's hard. It's definitely hard.
These are things that schools that recruit these smaller players, and BYU has a small McKay Hillstead, 5'11", if he's standing on tiptoes. You get quarterbacks where you can get them, but Josh Allen, 3, 6'4", 220, 25. It's just there's narrower path to success, in my opinion.
We are in a TV timeout as Alabama takes over after the punt from Florida State. Tempest says, I thought Bama was going to stop Castellanos, but he already has 58 yards, I believe, on the ground. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm misinterpreting what you're saying. That might be obvious answer. Yeah, look, if they can protect him, great. If he's able to scramble and get out, they can have a better season. Anything's better than 2-10. A 4-8 record is 100% increase in your win total. But I think they are looking so far in this game against Alabama far better than that kind of a 4-8, 5-7 kind of year. If they're upsetting a clear top 10, a projected SEC conference champion in many eyes, if not at least a top a playoff contender.
Yeah.
you can't say it enough. Like 14-point underdogs just usually don't lose. I mean, 14-point underdogs usually don't beat top 10 teams, even preseason top 10s. It does happen. There would be irony, right, of Florida State, who a year ago in a week was, I think, a preseason top 10 and lost to an unranked team.
Yeah, they were 9th.
And lost to an unranked team. Yep. And then they were to be unranked and knock off a top 10 team a year later.
Yes.
I would agree. Tepa says defense looks 100 times better than last year. They are wrapping up instead of their push. Well, defensive coordinator is definitely going to help do that when you get somebody like Tony coming in. Like, I thought the hires were really good. I was a little bit questioning Gus just because, you know, it's not the most common occurrence. It hasn't been. It's becoming more of a one where a head coach, you know, who's on the hot seat basically leaves a head coaching job in a P4 conference to become a coordinator somewhere else. But hey, look, it's one half, and the one half was good.
Yes. Yeah, let's not jump the shark yet.
All right. Picking back up, Alabama from their own 29, 1st and 10. Simpson drops back, goes deep, and overshoots his player. FSU had a little bit of a chance to make a spectacular interception, but it was a little bit too far for both of them. So that was, I want to say, the first deep shot I can remember Simpson staying, but it's possible I missed a play or two along the way there. It'll be 2nd and 10. 12 minutes left to go in the second quarter.
So I'm gonna leave you, but can I just give you a real quick BYU preview before I do?
Absolutely.
So BYU's breaking in a true freshman. He was playing high school football last year. A true freshman quarterback. His name's Bear Bachmeier. He's a Catholic. He's not Mormon. So
you guys just can't get a Mormon quarterback. What's going on?
Yeah, I guess it must be not as good. But the rest of the team is loaded. Skill position players. Chase Roberts could be a top 5 receiver in the country this year. The defense just reloads, and Jay Hill is still the coach. So it's going to be top 15 national again. I almost guarantee you that's easy money. So it's going to come down to how does a true freshman normally play? And you would say generally it's hard for a true freshman because they have to get legs. They have to get momentum. Well, BYU's first 3 games are Portland State tonight, who lost to Tarleton State last week, 42-0.
Right.
Then they play Stanford. You don't have to say anything more about that. And then the one tough kind of one is and I respect East Carolina. It's a trip. You go back east. You play humidity and stuff. That could be a trap game. But if they go 3-0 in those games, and you have a receiver that's learning and gaining. Earlier in the show, I was talking about Jake Retzlaff, and he is right now as good as he's ever going to be, and his lifetime completion percentage is like 58 or 59%. If Bachmeier can come out and complete 3% more percentage and have a 2-to-1 touchdown to touchdown interception ratio, BYU wins at least 10 games. At least 10 games.
You'd be happy with that, especially after everything that's gone on, right?
I want 11, but yeah, I'm willing to give one because I think the conference is going to be back to the quadruple tiebreakers, and I think we have some of them in our favor this year.
I was going to say, do you think 2 teams emerge and put themselves on a clear tier 1 to be the marquee brands for this year, or you think it's just going to be that the 1st and 4th place team might be on the 3rd tiebreaker deciding who's of those 4 is going to the championship game because not everybody's playing the same teams in the schedule?
There is an opportunity, but I don't think it's as many schools wide as everybody said at the beginning of the season. I don't think Kansas State is it. I don't know the reason why, but just don't think they are. I think Iowa State is a good team, but they don't look ready to win a playoff game. Haven't seen Arizona State. What are they going to bounce back? Cam Scatterbo was 99% of their offense last year. Control the clock, keep the defense on the field? Can they replicate that with some, true freshman or five-year senior transfer in? I'm going to find that hard to believe. So you have Kansas that now looked pretty good in their win, and BYU. I think Colorado is going to be okay. They're not championship potential in my opinion. So
Right.
you narrow the field. So you ask a specific question. The ACC and the Big 12 this year, even more than last year, have a better opportunity to both get two teams in if we continue to see this dysfunction at the P2 level.
Well, along those lines, Nate, and I'll let you go after this one. Alabama has been driving, as we were talking a little bit about that game. It had 4th and 5 from the Florida State, I want to say 36-37, and we're stopped a half yard short. So Alabama turns it off over on downs after going for it on 4th and 5 in Florida State territory, just outside of field goal range. So they are, not Florida State is doing what they need to do to have that turnoff, that to have that upset put together. I mean, right now they're still up 24 points against the spread with just about 10 minutes left to go in the third quarter. So the chaos and things that you're talking about are happening. If Clemson were to beat LSU tonight, that's the chalk, but it still would be 3 SEC top 10 teams losing out of conference games on day one of the season.
Yes.
And I will listen to freaking Paul Feinbaum. Castellanos down the sideline, first pass out of the thing, down to the 20, down to the 10, out at the 4-yard line, Nate. Florida State, first play after stopping on downs, complete down the sideline. Unless he, stepped out earlier, looks like Florida State's going to be first and goal from the 3 or 4 yard line. Let me know if you want to stick for this. If not, tune it on.
Good. I'm going to call my shot and hang up and listen. The ball game is over.
Well, there you go, Nate. First and goal from FSU at the 5. Thanks for joining, Nate. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I love doing this stuff with you, Rock. Thanks so much for letting me know you need
touchdown,
to go.
Nate. Touchdown. Florida State touchdown.
Let's go.
Drive safe, man.
Let's start the chaos now.
Chaos is in full effect.
See you later.
Bye. Holy shit, everybody. Florida State 23-7. Pending the extra point, 24-7. They will go up. Outright 17 points, 17-point game plus the spread. Florida State is looking tremendous. Great play right out of the turnover on downs. Castellanos down the sidelines. Florida State 2-play drive up 24-7. 9 minutes and 45 seconds left in the in the third quarter. Wow. Just wow. All right, everyone. I'm going to take a quick break to get a drink. I will be right back. You can all celebrate or cry about Florida State taking the lead, depending upon your perspective. We'll be right back. right. Hopefully you can hear me when we are back. What a game for Florida State. I mean, it's got to be total pandemonium there. I'm looking for my nephew. Hopefully he'll be sending me some pictures from inside the game. He's a student there and did get the lottery for this week's game. So he's at the game as Florida State has a 24-7 lead with 9:45 to go. Alabama taking the ball over on their own 25. Thanks for sticking around with us. Really appreciate it. Got some friends in here. Got some bots trying to spam the chat. Catching up on a few things here. Tempest, let's go. Florida State fans definitely excited. You know you got to be excited when you're a Florida State fan and you're watching a Kane do a watch party in your team. And I appreciate, Canes upset Irish is my call. I got the Canes 27-17. I'm so in the Kool-Aid zone, I can't even begin to tell you. I have people, of course, who watch the Canes regularly and have access to practices, and I have seen the biggest pessimists in Canes content land and people who get access to the program, people who have their name on buildings. Haven't been this pumped about the incomplete team in about 20 years, so we'll see whether that holds on. Fergie says, Noah's looking really sharp and focused. That is an understatement. Tempest is definitely celebrating. Take that ESPN and SEC. Didn't they have us as underdogs against LSU both games? This is a true statement. Again, ESPN and SEC never learn. All right, so 2nd and 17, completed for a first down by Ty Simpson. Down about the Florida State 43-yard line, so Alabama is driving. I don't think Simpson's looked particularly bad. I think Florida State's looked really good and has held them at the right times, and they haven't been able to. They've gotten into Florida State territory, but they have not been able to really punch it in, and Florida State's defense has gotten a lot stronger on their own side of the ball, so props to them. All right, 2nd and 10 for Alabama. 15-21 are good numbers. Yeah, I'm going to pull up some stats. I'll put them on the screen for the next commercial break. One day I'll actually learn how to do this right and prepare it, but I wasn't even going to do this. So every moment on here is a little bit of learning. It's clearly none of the other games that are on right now are doing anything of particular interest for anyone. If you see something, please, again, let me know in the comments so I'm aware of it. 2nd and 10 for Alabama from the FSU's 44-yard line. Man in motion. Handoff up the middle. Man, they are not getting anywhere in the middle. Florida State's defensive line and their backs are just closing the box pretty quickly on Alabama on the running game. Let's see, FSU, Alabama stats. All right, 1st and 10 for Alabama here. 7.5 left to go in this 3rd quarter. 2nd and 8. Let's see if we can add some more stuff to the screen while we're looking around. So, yeah, Simpson 16 for 24, 1 touchdown. Castellanos 9 of 11 for 152, plus his 58 yards rushing. He hasn't really rushed anything in the second half here yet. 3rd and 8 for Alabama. Simpson back in the shotgun, as you would expect. Drops back to pass. Pocket's closing in. Incomplete to the left side as he avoids the sack, but does not avoid the incompletion. It is 4th and 8 for Alabama. Once again, Florida State's defense holds. Alabama can just not get to the red zone. They're getting into Florida State territory on a regular basis, but they are just not pushing the ball through. Alabama, get ready, guys. There's going to be meme zone pictures in the Alabama fans in Doak. I feel sorry for Doak because if this continues, 4th and 8, Alabama's going for it. That's what we've landed on. Ball deep, overshoots him, but there's a flag on the play. Looks like you're going to have a holding against Florida State, which would give Alabama a first down. If this score holds, Doak might be all renovated, but it might get wrecked by the celebration that would come from this. I mean, what a seesaw world Florida State is on over the last year or two. We got a couple hundred people watching us right now. Most of you guys are over on Twitter. Appreciate that for sure. Would love you to come over to the channel and join us as well. At least give us a like on the stream here on YouTube. It definitely helps a growing channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs, which would definitely unlock a lot of things for us. So if you're enjoying the coverage at all, please consider coming to CFB Express over on YouTube. Hit the like button. Hit subscribe. If you're on the mobile app, there's a little feature where you can give some props to a channel or video that you're watching. If you see that feature, would love if you did that for us. Tempest says, especially, a victory over a top 10 team after an awful year the year before that everybody wants to forget. Alabama drops back, 2nd and 10. Ball is incomplete. Defense closed very strong on that out to the tight end and was not able to complete the pass. So right now, I just got to say, somebody who was skeptical about Castellanos, not so much skeptical about the defense for Florida State, but as an outsider, not hearing and paying attention to every single thing, but paying attention. Myself and Flo, if you ever see the general on here, we do actually read a lot and watch a lot of ball. We're not just making up crap and talking trash out of our ass. There were some culture issues here I was concerned about, even from watching some of the Seminoles podcasts with a recent dismissal. But this defense is freaking absolutely impressing against Alabama today. 3rd and 10, flag on the play. Carrigo knows, like I tried to tell you, Rock. Well, I think you can give us understanding of a little bit of credit of skepticism for that. Every fan base up through the kickoff of week 1 thinks that the Kool-Aid is flowing, and there's always, each fan base has their degree of skeptics, and you try to listen to it across the board and assimilate what you think your opinion is. But I'd like to be fair. I'm a fan. I want to beat Florida State every time, but I can give respect and props to people who don't duck out of series like some schools and play all onlookers. And right now, nobody expected this. Maybe I don't even know Florida State fans, even the biggest Kool-Aid drinkers. I don't think the biggest Kool-Aid drinkers in Seminole history thought they'd be up 17 points heading into the halfway mark of the 3rd quarter. And with that, a sack, a fumble. We have to see. Recovered by a lineman who was advancing the ball. Looked like it was a backward pass. We'll have to see if they ruled it incomplete. Either way, it's 4th down again for Florida State. Let's take a quick look. The replay is going on. So Ty Simpson falls back. He's getting hit. It looked, I can't tell, his arm was moving forward, but it looks like the ball came backwards. So that is a fumble. The lineman should be able to advance it, it would seem to me. He was trying to fall forward, but the ball landed behind him. So, see, he didn't think you'd be winning by this much. Alabama lines up for the field goal, 40-yard attempt. It's good. 24-10, 5:59 left in the third quarter. So Alabama puts some points on the board, knocks it to a 2-score game. Florida State taking the ball over. Now you just got to wonder, what kind of offense does Gus Malzahn line up with now? With 21 minutes left to go in the game, a 14-point lead at home. You want to burn some time off the clock, or do you just want to keep the momentum of your offense going for another series or two before you try to do that? Drop it in the comments. What do you think Florida State's approach should be on the offensive side of the ball with this lead with 14, with the fourth quarter and about 5 minutes left to go in the third? Thought we could make it close but not be winning. Let me update this banner. I'm going to have to look on Twitter right now because I think it's going to be fascinating just to see what's going on. All right, while we're in commercial, let's switch screens here and let's go through some interesting tweets, even if it's just to kill some time here for a second. We've got Alabama without Nick Saban. And you never go wrong with the Jurassic Park meme, Alabama after Saban. This is a new Alabama era. My people, Grant Speaks is actually a good account to follow. People are definitely melting on Twitter. Man, oh man, Alabama. What is going on? Kalen DeBoer. I don't know if Paul Feinbaum is on Monday because it's Labor Day, but the Feinbaum show is going to be must listen, must watch, even though you may not like that guy. I personally do not. I'm super thrilled personally that he thinks that Notre Dame is going to beat Miami because everything else he has said this weekend has been totally ass. So I'm feeling even more optimistic. Might have to convince Carrie Knowles to float a loan and bet everything I own on Miami if Paul Feinbaum's the indication. Alabama defense. I don't have the volume on there, so we're not going to hear that one.
What the fuck they're doing? Do you
There
understand that? They don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
They don't know what the F they're doing. This is an excellent one. The Spider-Man meme. Texas play calling and Alabama play calling today. All right, with that, let's get back to the game here as we pick it up on the kickoff. Florida State lets it roll into the end zone. We'll take it out to the 25. Kerry's like, I took the points. Very sorry about that. Yeah, man. Money line would be paying you some bank. You were very sure about the 13.5. Florida State gains 5 on the ground to start the next drive. I'm sure Bama is screaming to fire their coach now. I think that is probably likely. That won't happen. Becky, go Huskies. How is anyone surprised about the FSU Bama game? Did anyone forget how much talent was on that roster? Talent and being a good team are two different things. I think the vast majority of people are surprised about this because Florida State has been an unknown. And when you have the seesaw that we've seen over the last 2 years, I think it's understandable for people to have a skepticism about it. But this is a clear statement game so far for Florida State, with no question. Like FSU has a ton of talent. They just needed a better line and quarterback. Well, Becky, I can just tell you, I was not a Castellanos guy. I can't take it away from him what he's doing tonight. Let's see how it goes for the whole season. I don't want to be the guys who overreact to one game at all. But this is an impressive game from Castellanos, and if this quarterback shows up the whole season, great. If he's a flash in the pan, it's still going to be an amazing victory. They won't play as many teams as talented as Alabama all year long. He escapes from the pocket. Let's see what he does. Somehow, after potentially being sacked, runs for a first down, gets up slowly on the sidelines. Flag comes in, thinking that's probably a late hit. We'll see what happens. Kerry Go Knowles, once again, thank you, my friend. $9.99 super chat. I was very sure about it. FSU plus 13.5. Honestly, didn't think this would happen, but it was a slight chance. Well, you should bet your slight chances, man, based off of what we're seeing so far. Thanks again for the support and for the direction. Clear late hit. I don't know what Alabama is doing. Alabama is playing very undisciplined right there. You can't do that down 14, 20 minutes left to go. Giving Florida State an additional 15 yards. It's almost like they're trying to get DeBoer fired. Kevin DeBoer is a good coach. He's just not. He's having some challenges here at Florida State. And then also gets the question, if Alabama were to lose this game, how long is the leash on Ty Simpson? There's a couple of very talented quarterbacks, young quarterbacks on the Alabama roster. FSU on first down, on the ground again, gains 5 or 6 yards. It'll be second down, 4:32 to go in the third quarter. Back to the line of scrimmage on third down. FSU comes away with points here, man. They're on the Alabama 43 at the moment. They need to get themselves into field goal range. But should they come away with points here, up 17, essentially heading into the fourth quarter? I don't know what the live time odds are. Someone could probably check it, but clearly the win percentages are magically moving in to Florida State's favor. Castellanos drops back over the middle, overthrows everybody. He had a guy kind of open, but he was in between two defenders on the coverage. Got lucky there. He floated, he didn't float it by, but he zoomed it well past his open receiver crossing midfield. 4th and 4. Florida State, you assume, unless they pull a trick out of the Bobby Bowden era or with a fake, will be punting or at least lining up to punt. FSU back to punt from their own 43. Into the end zone. Coverage was a little bit poor there. Didn't take the right drop. So Alabama, 3:16 left, down 14. in the third quarter will take the ball over on their own 25. FSU, 161 yards rushing. Exactly. They've been all over the place. You got, Castellanos has been running the ball 64 yards on his own, but it's been spread out. They've had 3 or 4 players that have done some damage on the ground for FSU. Ty Simpson sacked on the first down by Florida State, dropping him even further back into Alabama territory. There's just no way Alabama saw this game coming this way. SEC is going to change their blue logo to black for a little while. Again, scrambling, Ty Simpson throws it away, receiver in the area. That Florida State defensive front is owning Alabama's offensive line, just absolutely owning them. Look at that. There's a meme, hairy armpit meme for Alabama. Somebody get that. Send it to me on Twitter so I can use it later. This is a mixed family game for me. I have nieces and nephews and cousins all over the place at Alabama, at Florida State. Someone's going to be crying tonight. Someone's going to be thrilled. It's a civil war with my extended family. "64 yards rushing for Castellanos," correct. Thought Bama was going to stop that. Becky, go Huskies. I'm impressed by FSU today. Alabama was very surprised, very unprepared. Tempest's like, "Hey, Big, wanna invite us in Miami now?" Look, as we're in the realignment zone, I've said forever, even when this all began, that I always want Miami and FSU to go together. I want to keep the rivalry. At the worst, I want to make sure that if FSU goes to the SEC, Florida becomes their permanent rival and Miami becomes their out-of-conference game that's always protected. I've said that from day one. And Florida State fans, the reason why I'm here is because of you. Because of your trolling on other shows got me to call in as Ty Simpson drops back under pressure again, runs out to the right side, scrambles, is not going to get anything. He's making some moves, but he's down in the 20. It'll be 4th down and 9, 13, something like that. Alabama's going to have to punt. When's the last time we saw Alabama just owned in the trenches? First half of the Georgia game, I think. Maybe. I don't even remember who was doing what and what half in that wild game last year. Carrigo Knowles, SEC will change their logo to pink. The SEC will become SEL, meaning Southeastern Losers. Alabama back to punt. FSU fair catch signal called. Oh, massive mistake by FSU. Calls a fair catch, but then does not get out of the way of the ball. Hits him. Alabama recovers on the FSU. Want to say 45. I missed the exact yardage there, but man, you just cannot do that. That's a massive special team. You don't, if you're going to not be sure about it, just let it go. Let it run down. Better to get the ball in the 20. Alabama recovers on the FSU 46 after a great stop by Florida State. That's just the kind of thing that you cannot do against a team like Alabama on paper. We say that thinking what we think Alabama is going to be this year. We don't really know, but in theory, they're one of the most talented rosters in college football. They have been not competing the way we would have thought in this game. FSU up 24-10. We'll see whether or not that makes a massive difference in this game. So Alabama back to line up, 1st and 10 from the FSU 46. Ty Simpson drops back. He's going deep, going for it all. Lot of contact there. Not facing the quarterback. Clear penalty on FSU. So pass interference or holding. It will be another first down for Alabama. I mean, it's, in a way, if you completely lost sight of the ball, better to get the penalty than to let the guy, catch the ball behind you. But, you got to do better. First and 10 at the FSU 31. Handoff to the right side for 2 or 3 yards out of bounds. Let's switch over. So we'll do some watching here. This is the live win probabilities for the Florida State Alabama game as we currently are situated. Right now, it's got a Florida State a 95% win probability. We'll see what happens here, depending upon what Alabama does after that turnover on the muffed punt. In other news, Oregon's throwing deep up 39 on an FCS team. Right, Becky? I'm not sure if it's even a G5. I think they're playing Montana State or something. So, an FCS team, impressive. Dan Lanning. Maybe you should go jump in a pool to celebrate after. Bama definitely has to score here. You can't keep missing opportunities like that. But they've also been getting stuck around the 32-yard line of Florida State on all these possessions. They've driven into Florida State territory on a constant basis. Simpson up the pass. Good coverage. Ball thrown to the other side of where the receiver was looking, but probably would have been out of bounds no matter what, even if he had turned over and caught the ball in his eye. Yes, Oregon is playing number 2 FCS team from Montana State. Great program. I'm not really sure why you're throwing the ball up 39, unless you're on your. I can give it to you if it's your second or third string quarterback in getting some work. You got to do it. But if they still have their first team quarterback in, that's a mistake. All right, 4th and 7 for Alabama. They got to go for it down 14. Simpson drops back, getting pressured, escapes out to the left. They don't have, and he throws it away. Or did he catch it? Incomplete. I don't know about that decision there by Ty Simpson. We'll have to look at it again, but it looked to me like he had the room to get the first down. I guess maybe he saw somebody else closing. It was almost a excellent catch by the wide receiver on a poorly thrown ball, but unable to complete it. Now, the ball clearly hit the ground. I think he had the running room. I don't know about you guys. I think that Simpson could have scrambled for the first down. He heard footsteps, Tempest says, but you know what? I think the footsteps he heard was the friggin' pitchforks coming for Alabama when they get home to Tuscaloosa. Simpson's playing like a true freshman playing their first road game. Yeah, that's a problem. He's not a true freshman, right? FSU stopped for a loss there on second down as the clock ticks down. 45 seconds left in the third quarter. Get ready for every team to do the ubiquitous fourth quarter. Up in the air. Google who did it first. Castellanos, hands off. Alabama's defense is really stiffening there. They maybe got it back to the line of scrimmage. It's going to be third down for Florida State as the third quarter wraps. But man, oh man, the news that is developing here over this game is pretty damn unreal. I didn't have this in my list of things I would have expected. But man, that's why you play the games, man. That's why Notre Dame still played Northern Illinois last year. That's why Georgia Tech did what they did to Florida State. South Florida to what they did to Boise State the other night, right? So we are going to the fourth quarter, 14-point underdog, Florida State, currently covering the spread by anywhere from 27 to 29 points, and more importantly, actually winning the game 24-10 over Alabama heading into the fourth quarter. And let's do a quick update there on that. Texas and Alabama losing the same day. Georgia and LSU probably are the favorites. I don't know about that, Becky. I think LSU is going to lose tonight. So I don't really know that any of these teams or will lose their position in the SEC. I know there's a lot of people excited about Florida. I am not one of them. I think that DJ Lagway is a good quarterback and potentially will be a great quarterback. I just don't think he's the number one quarterback in college football. Shout out Andy Staples and about 50 more others of you Kool-Aid drinking fools. But I think that's going to get exposed by both LSU and Miami in the first month for Florida. You know, these are non-conference games, right? So it's not really changing the standings at all. I think it opens up a perception lane. Let's see how much South Carolina does tomorrow. They're playing Virginia Tech. They're the easy favorites. Brent can be seriously in danger there as the head coach of Virginia Tech, but maybe they make a statement tomorrow. I am getting texts from my nephew who is there. It's nuts in Tallahassee right now. Place is going crazy. Getting back, I was just texting with my nephew. That's what Jacksonville State did to Florida State a few years ago. Tempest, I see Clemson beating LSU, but that is my opinion. I agree with you. Carrie Go-Knowles has got LSU. I think you're going to take an L. I still think both Clemson and LSU are going to make the playoffs. I thought the same thing about Ohio State and Texas, regardless of somebody losing. I don't know that I'm changing my stake there, but I'm thinking about it because it was just not a great showing from the Texas offense there. Clemson and Florida, the two teams that I'm just unsure about, honestly. Clemson, I'm 100% positive on. I'll take an L tonight. I've watched so much. I've talked to so many people. We got the chance to talk to Eric McLean from the ACC network about it. Obviously, he gets great access to it, but he's pretty fair. I just think Clemson's going to the championship game, and they're my pick to win it all. Alabama defense has really stepped up here in the last series. tackles, brings down Castellanos for a loss of 6. Carrie has a different opinion on Cade Klubnik. I think he's going to be just fine. Tempest, if UF doesn't put up 70 points against Long Island, UF isn't going to be nothing. FSU back to punt. Fair catch called for by Alabama. They will take over 1st and 10 at the Florida State 37. Tempest again, if UF doesn't put 70 points up against Long Island, they aren't going to be nothing. Hey man, I took one class at Long Island University for my master's to make up for something. So I hope that they don't embarrass them just for the sake of their small little egos. Again, I'll never miss an opportunity to both be real. I think DJ Lagway is a good quarterback and has the skills to be great. I don't think he's currently as hyped as there, and I want to see if he can actually stand upright for a while. But I will dunk on Florida all day. It's just like it's a character flaw. Alabama man in motion, Ty Simpson in the shotgun, drops back to pass. Completed for maybe 3-yard gain, depending upon where they mark him out. Becky, go Huskies. I know Clemson has a good team back, but I'm just not convinced they've turned a corner. Hey, you could be right about that. I'm more convinced that Clemson with Dabo is going to be in a better position than LSU, which can't seem to win an opening game. And Brian Kelly is a killer coach. And by killer, I mean he literally has had people get killed under his program. Alabama converts for a 1st down and then drags a bunch of FSU guys down another 20 yards. It'll be 1st and 10 for Alabama from the Florida State 31 with 13:35 to go. Rock, you think Miami's quarterback is also going to be fine? I absolutely think he's going to be fine. I think a lot of people are going to be eating receipts tomorrow. I remember last year, here's a dunking moment. I remember last year, a large portion of the Florida State fan base was 100% convinced that DJ, I can't throw the ball your way, was a better quarterback by Cam Ward. One's the 1st-round draft pick with number 1 despite small hands. The other one is waxing cars somewhere. So trust me forgive me if I don't trust Florida State fans' evaluation of quarterbacks generally of late. Kelly is the SEC version of James Franklin. Could be. 2nd and 7 for Alabama. Under the 13-minute mark now. Win percentage is still 95% for Florida State. Handoff up the middle, little moves to the left. We're going to be 3rd and 1 for Alabama. Hitting the 12-minute mark. Handoff for the 1st down and a few yards more. Alabama will be 1st and 10 at the FSU 18 or 19-yard line. Once again, if you're over on X, would love if you came over and joined us in the chat. Would love your take on the game. Alabama fan, SEC fan, Florida State fan, ACC fan, whatever team you're rooting for. Commenting on this game. When the game wraps, commenting on any of the games. Definitely come on over and let's talk about it a little bit more. Greatly appreciate it. Completely not the game that I would have expected today, though. I got to give these guys credit. Let's see if there's any more good meltdown we can do here during a TV timeout. Can I play a commercial for you guys? Some of you might have missed it on our show the other night. Not knowing this game was going to happen, but since one of our things on our Wednesday night live show is we do parody ads related to college football, I will show this right now for all of your enjoyment or hatred. AI can be your friend, and sometimes it could be spin for you. So since we're in a commercial, let's play a commercial real quick.
Feeling grimy after another underwhelming season? Don't worry. With SEC Spin, one rinse cycle and that 8-4 record smells like the CFP.
SEC Spin, the only detergent that scrubs away losses in the mind of College Football Playoff Committee. Powered by ESPN Rinse and complicit reporters nationwide, now available at Walmart.
All right. That's what we do here. We like to say we take football seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously, and that is an example. But let's see, is there anything else we can do? Well, let's get ready for tomorrow night's game while we're in a commercial break. I mean, Monday night's game, a little thing from the Jordan brand.
Nothing gets between me and my bills. Nothing. Not even a Bubba.
Jordan brand by Jordan Hudson, available exclusively at the UNC bookstore.
All right, a little moments of humor here, whether you like it or not. That's my version of humor. The SEC shorts that are going to come out after this week could be epic. Let's see what our reporters are saying. All right, actually, we're back from a TV timeout. Ty Simpson drops back to pass, rolls out to his right, throws down, completes out of bounds. It'll be first and goal for Alabama. 11:36 to go. Looking over on Twitter, an interesting stat. Brad Crawford writes, this would be Alabama's third loss in its last 4 games under Kalen DeBoer as a double-digit favorite. The handoff. No, fakes. Pass to the right. And Alabama in. Deked me out like I was a cameraman. Alabama, Scott scores. 24-16 pending the extra point for Alabama. Took 3 minutes and 16 seconds off the clock. FSU will be down 7. I mean, FSU up 7. We'll have to see about that one. I'm not hearing the announcer, so I don't know what they're saying. I don't know if his foot was out before he crossed. Either way, looks like it's a touchdown. Extra point is good. So 24-17 with exactly 11 minutes left to go. Florida State needs a drive here. Alabama's defense has been picking it up over the last couple of series, almost like they woke up from the dead. They're playing kind of like Florida State's defense was playing earlier in the game. Let's see what Gus Malzahn and Thomas Castellanos have lined up. Becky, I think you're right. I mean, we're in the territory now. This game is going to come down to the wire. Yeah, well, the rains haven't been as kind to FSU as they were towards the end of the first half. You know, if we look back over to the win percentage, it's still in Florida State's favor, to be clear. But those things change wildly, as we all know, especially in college football, perhaps more than almost any other sport. So we were at 95-5 win percentage for Florida State prior to that score. It's changed about 13 points, but it's still clearly in Florida State's favor. So I don't think Florida State needs to score in this drive. Scoring would be awesome, but they need to not be a 3-and-out. No, Florida State cannot afford injuries. Cannot completely replace your roster over a season and get your seconds and thirds in 1 year. It's going to take a heartbeat. Florida State does need to do a better job recruiting. Even if it's not necessarily their primary area, Florida State does need to do a better job of recruiting. In actuality, in the state of Florida this year, Miami, Florida, and Florida State are not killing it with in-state kids this particular season. It's looking a little bit different down the road. They're not doing terribly, but they're not performing the way that those three programs usually do in-state across the board, to varying degrees, not all the same, but yep, just eat clock. But FSU has not been able to do that the last couple of series. Alabama kicks off. 11 minutes to go. Florida State will get the touchback out to the 25-yard line. I agree, Carrie. Florida State needs to go out there and be aggressive on offense now. Virginia and Coastal Carolina, ACC plays 0-0 at the end of the first quarter. Castellanos takes over. He's got to make a statement here. Back up the words. He can become a legend with this game. 1st and 10. Handoff. 3 yards. That kind of run for Florida State in the first half, they were regularly getting 6 and 7. So the Alabama defensive line, their linebackers are definitely going better against the run than they were in the first half, and that's definitely impacting FSU's ability to chew clock. 2nd and 7. 10:35. Mistake right here, in my opinion. Not the run itself. Great run by Castellanos. I have no idea why FSU right now didn't run 20 more seconds off the clock. No idea. And maybe somebody has a different opinion, but why they aren't burning time and making this game a shorter game for them. I don't know if I agree with that. If you disagree, just let me know in the chat. Again, if you disagree with me vehemently on Twitter and X, let me know as well. Solid pickup, though. So we're moving the sticks. We'll see where they're marking him down, actually. I thought he had made it, but it looks like his knee was down. They're marking him just short of the first down. Fourth and 1. FSU is going for it from their own side, deep in their own territory. I don't know about that one. But congratulations, they made it. That was a ballsy play. That was a ballsy play. Up 7, you're inside your own 40. Fourth and 1, Alabama with the momentum. That was, to me, that was a pretty gutsy call, and they converted. So 1st and 10 for Florida State. That's aggressive, quick carry, wouldn't you say? Probably more aggressive than I would have been, but hey, they made the play, so props to them. 8:50 to go. Castellanos drops back to pass, throws it out of bounds. The pocket was collapsing on him there, so solid, smart move, smart play. And with that series, the FSU and then winding the clock down, FSU's win probability jump up again to 90%. Both a combination of time and the field percentage, the field position for Florida State. 2nd and 10, 8:45 to go. Castellanos keeps it, held to no gain. It will be 3rd down. Flag on the play. Yeah, I agree, Becky. That was insanely gutsy. Penalty on Alabama. Personal foul. Stupid, stupid play. Giving Florida State 15 yards, the 1st down. With 8:38 to go. Castellanos was already down. You pile on the quarterback. It's going to get called every single time. You late hit on the ground, defenseless player. Dumb. FSU maybe gains 1 yard on the handoff. They're in Alabama territory on the 46 now. Second and 9 for Florida State. Alabama handing this game to FSU now. Yeah, that was I don't get it. Undisciplined. Undisciplined by Alabama, man. They did not need that down 7 as the clock is continuing to roll. FSU win percentage up to 94% again. So just about 1% less than it was right before Alabama scored due to the field position, the time left on the clock. I mean, if you bet and have the spread, you are in like Flynn at this point. So a lot of people making some money today who took the underdogs either with the points or in a parlay. Once again, teaching the college football world that we really don't know anything. Again, if you're watching over on Twitter and X, a lot of you have been on for a while. We'd really appreciate some support and coming over to YouTube and at least liking this on your way out. It costs you nothing to do it. Subscribe if you'd like. That would even be better. We'll catch you again. Who knows? We might do another game later tonight just to get to practice and have the conversation. A little late night college football never hurt anybody. And if you're in here, thanks again for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. About 40 minutes away from kickoff from number 4 Clemson versus number 9 LSU. Another massive week 1 out of conference game between the ACC and the SEC. FSU on the reverse. First down and more. He's still up. Out of bounds at the 16, 17, 18-yard line, somewhere under 20. Big play for Florida State there. And clock continues to roll, 7:59. I swear that looked like a broken play for a second, but really creative. Fake up the middle. Reverse there. End around sweep. Castellanos keeps it. Runs for 7. It'll be 2nd and 3. Carries a happy camper. You should be, man. I'm not going to say the word yet, but man, you're looking good. Looking good. Know who's not happy right now? This guy. I don't think Nick Saban's happy. Think this is what it looks like in Tuscaloosa right now. Or maybe more like this. Timeout here for injured Alabama player. Not sure what you guys think of the new rule under 2 minutes or whatever the exact time is with injured players to try to prevent the fake injury zone. I've seen a couple of players that didn't look like they were faking it, and the teams are losing that timeout. I think instead of punishing the people who are clear, we're hurting others in the way to solve a problem. But I guess it is what it is, as long as it's evenly applied. 2nd and 4 from the Alabama 14-yard line for Florida State. Under 8 minutes to go. The handoff up the middle, driving. That looks like a touchdown for Florida State. Massive, massive play for Florida State. Up 30-17. 7:17 to go, right up the middle, driving back. Alabama defense, who had really stepped up. There is going to be tears in SEC land. A lot of tears. Maybe the Big 12 and the ACC might want to think about giving 2 automatic qualifiers to the SEC and taking 4 for themselves. What do you guys think? Wow. Unbelievable. There are memes being born in that shot right now. They're confirming the touchdown, it looks like. I don't know how they're going to make that call. His knee's down there, but it's hard to tell that the ball wasn't already across the... I think the ball was already across the front of the goal line when that happened. I think it's a touchdown. What do you guys think? See, I could do this shit. Look at those Bama fan faces. They're going to be memes. I mean, look, I have Florida State memes in here somewhere, but I'm not going to be able to use it today other than to show you what Alabama fans are going to look like. Let's see what we got. No, that's a Clemson one. That's a Wisconsin one. Maybe I don't have a Florida State meme saved, but I'm going to have a plethora of Alabama memes after this game. Almost as bad as Gator fans. I don't know if there's such a thing. Gator fans gave us jorts. Definitely not the game I was expecting. 31-17, Florida State over Alabama, 7:17 to go. 28 points up if you took the points. Start figuring out where you're going to dinner. You can don't feel afraid to tip your waiter, your driver, or your live streamer. (31-17) kickoff goes into the end zone. Touchback, Alabama at the 25. They got 7.5 minutes to make up 14 points. They're going to have to move. Their last scoring drive was 3.5 minutes, but that was a little bit shorter run for them. See, that's a crock of shit one for them to show because that game was irrelevant. The 63-3 game. I mean, it's fun to dunk on FSU if you're a rival, but most of their team was checked out. You know, showing what happened in 2024 is one thing. ESPN showing that stuff without talking about their role in what happened with the playoff committee is hard to stomach, even from a distant fan perspective. Alabama completes down the middle for 9 yards, 2nd and 1. What can I do, Carrie? I can't. I have short-term memory loss here. Alabama drops back. Ty Simpson, incomplete. To Cuevas on the far side. It'll be 3rd and 1. Obviously, 2 down territory. Quick out. No one was even looking. It'll be 4th and 1. I mean, this is the game. There's got to be a Simpsons meme out there that fits for Ty Simpson in Alabama right now. If you got one that works, drop it in the chat. Huge, huge. Florida State stops this. Doak might fall down. And the flag. Movement on the line. Going to be 4th and 6. You're going to be famous, bro. Fourth and 6 for Alabama. Simpson back to pass. Over the middle. Big completion there. First and 10 for Alabama. Gary, I don't even remember, man. I'll have to watch the video on demand because I don't know what I said anymore. I'm making shit up as we go. Simpson moving backwards, escapes a possible 20-yard loss, able to get it off to an Alabama receiver. Incomplete, 2nd and 10. I'm kind of waiting to hear if we start to hear a FSU chant for the SEC. 2nd and 10 for Ty Simpson in Alabama. Just about to hit the 6-minute mark. Rolls out to his right. Almost a great play over the middle. Incomplete, but I think we're going to have a targeting potential hit here against FSU. It's my first gut reaction. I didn't see holding, but I do see the receiver on the ground. I'm wondering if it's a possible targeting call right there. I appreciate all of you, 150 of you, 175 at different times, just watching a random Yahoo talk about Florida State and Alabama on week 1 Saturday. Hopefully we can find you, join us on other things we do on this channel. Lots of different things with my partner Flo in the general, everything from recruiting to realignment to random hot takes, season predictions, previews, guests. We kind of talk about it all here. We're not trying to do just one thing. National College Football Channel. It's our first live stream of a game. The channel's only 4 months old. We'll see. Maybe there'll be a second one later on tonight. We love to talk ball, love to have fun with it, and take it seriously, and respect for all the players especially. So hopefully this injury is just someone being hurt and not injured. It is a targeting under review call. Looked like a targeting from here. Not the best angle on that replay that they just showed. See if we get a better shot right here. Completely unnecessary hit. It looks like he hit it with the crown of his helmet on the Alabama receiver towards the back, but we'll see what happens. But I was wrong. So it's 3rd down. Call is overturned. Good for FSU, bad for Alabama. They could have really used that. Obviously, they saw a replay angle, and they're paid professionals. So 3rd and 10, Alabama, 6:07 to go. Hey, Antoine, good to see you, man. It looks like he didn't hit him. Yeah, the movement looked like it for me, but perception there could have definitely been off. And ultimately, it doesn't matter if I thought it was or it wasn't. If I had a good view of it or not. The refs have a better view. They have the replay. And either way, it's Alabama 3rd and 10 at their own 41 with 6:07 to go, down 14 to Florida State as 14-point favorites from the almighty SEC against the lowly ACC. Simpson back to pass. Pockets collapsing around him. Drops back another 20 yards. Gets the ball off. Almost makes a great throw. but it goes incomplete. It'll be 4th and 10 for Alabama. Make or break here. The chop is in full effect. Everyone's got the beat going. The only people possibly leaving are going to be not in a garnet and gold. They're going to be in crimson red at this time. So I feel for Kalen DeBoer, honestly. I think he's a good coach, and I liked him at Washington. But man, he's having some struggles with this program here. Simpson drops back. They need to convert here. 4th down, scrambles out to the right. He's going to get sacked. No, he escapes. Florida State is going to oh my God, this mark is going to be everything. It looks like he's going to be a football short of converting this, and it's going to be a turnover on downs. Florida State likely to get the ball. We'll see if they measure here, but it looks like it's going to be a Florida State. 1st and 10. Let's see where the true mark is here. Let's see if they measure it. DC has Bama all over the place, confused. Yeah, like, listen, Tony White is an excellent defensive coordinator. It's a great hire. I think even more important than Gus Malzahn. I'm definitely interested to see where they mark this, whether they got it right, whether they look at it again. Just a bit outside, a foot shy. Turnover on downs, 4th down, 5:39 to go. Barring a miracle, Alabama, number 8 Alabama, will join number 1 Texas in the take an L and see if Clemson can do a 3rd one to your friends at LSU, 9th-ranked LSU. There have been very few times when there have been 3 top 10 games. Alabama is not one of them, but they're a top 10 ranked team. Someone's going to have to Google, or if somebody asks ChatGPT or FlowGPT, when was the last time 3 top 10 SEC teams lost in the same day? Because we're about to have 2, and then we have Clemson and LSU later on tonight. Unbelievable. So close. I don't think he got it. Like, I think they had a really good mark. It's really close, though. Antoine Johnson, I can't wait to watch the Alabama YouTubers after this game. I can't wait to watch I'm going to wait, see what happens with Clemson LSU. I am not an ACC guy. The thing I like about the ACC teams is we don't chant for SEC. However, I'm on the down low, I'm rooting for ACC teams this weekend because I believe that the team that I root for has a chance of going to the playoff, and I think that if that were to be the case, I want to see ACC have the opportunity for a fallback of at least a 2nd team, if not a 3rd team, into the playoff. And the more that the ACC shows up and the strength of schedule out of conference is good, the better it benefits everybody. I've said before that it's a win-win for me watching this game. If Florida State loses, you're a rival. If you're a fan of another team, is great. But if they win, the SEC narrative taking another hit, I'm not going to cry about that. All right, Castellanos, 1st and 10. 5:39 to go. Hands it off. Up the middle for no gain. Maybe 1 yard. And we're under the 5-minute mark. Florida State, Castellanos. Up the middle, gain of 10 plus, first down, 4:39 to go. I mean, the win percentages are at 98%, Florida State. Don't screw this crap up. 98% to 2%. The current win percentage for Florida State. Unbelievable. Massive, massive upset. ACC looking strong. Syracuse got, pounded by Tennessee, but Georgia Tech beat Colorado. Florida State is handling Alabama. Clemson on deck with LSU tonight as the favorite at home. Another 3 yards gained by Florida State. Man, narratives are getting ripped up. It's only week 1. Take your note of caution for sure on that. But this is going to be a seismic victory, not just for Florida State and what it means for them and people's perception of them going forward. Because I think whatever you think of Alabama, there's no world where you don't think that they were a top 15 team. Most people have them higher than the top 10. They're considered to be one of the 2 or 3 favorites to make the SEC championship game. They have a top 5 to top 10 roster. That's just straight out facts. That doesn't mean that you're going to win, right? But they have that talent. Florida State's roster is not as good as Alabama's on paper, but that's not changing the fact that right now Florida State is handing it to Alabama on the road in week 1. It helps with the ACC narrative. It helps against the SEC narrative. Next week's a different week, but this is the biggest out-of-conference week on the schedule in college football history. Since at least 1950, Associated Press-wise, there have not been 3 top 10 games on the schedule. Yes, Florida State is not ranked, but this is a massive thing. Unbelievable. Carrie Gonol, massive super chat. Thank you so much, man. Sharing the winnings. I appreciate it, man. Your support and friendship has been awesome. You didn't need to do that, but I thank you so very much for doing that. I greatly appreciate it. I'm sure Flo does as well. So, man, 2:22 left, 31-17. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I got nothing, no words. There's no way I predicted this. I definitely didn't. I didn't see a world where this game was here. The only thing I said about this game in our pick show on Wednesday night was the spread scared me, and I felt like I might be stupid the next day, but I might be okay with it. So I'm good. I feel stupid, and I'm definitely okay with it. That was awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, in case you missed it, if you were looking away from the TV, there was a close-up shot on an Alabama fan, I believe, but I'm not sure. Maybe it was maybe it was an FSU fan giving the camera the bird on national TV. Bro, you just got made famous. If you didn't think you were going to be a meme for the rest of your life, you are now going to be a meme for the rest of your life. Congratulations. First down, FSU. That'll bring us down to the 2-minute timeout. Florida State is absolutely going to win this game. Shockwaves across college football. Began with an upset. Boise State going down to South Florida on Thursday night. Boise State, the prohibitive favorite from the G5 to get their AQ spot, gets blown out in South Florida, 34-7. Alabama getting blown out by Florida State in Tallahassee. 14 points, 31-17, after being a 14-point dog. Selfishly, let's hope that continues tomorrow night at Hard Rock Stadium. A Bama fan acted like a Gator fan by flipping a bird. Absolutely. And like every meme forever, congratulations, dude. Welcome to the Streisand effect. You just got made famous. Everyone is going to see you forever. Congrats to all you FSU fans, man. You guys had a brutal, I don't even say a brutal year and 8 months, right? Ever since the College Football Playoff Committee snubbed you unfairly. Didn't get into the playoff because of an injury to your quarterback. That suddenly didn't become an issue for Georgia the year after. Granted, they won the championship, so it was a little bit different situation there. But I digress. 2-10 season began with a brutal loss to Georgia Tech last year in Ireland. Lots of turnover, lots of chaos, coaching changes, completely written off, 14-point dog at home, picked anywhere from 4th to 10th in the ACC. And on week 1, number 8 Alabama comes in, potential college football playoff pick for a lot of people for the SEC, potential SEC champion. You have a transfer quarterback. You have 2 new coordinators in, and you're making the SEC look like fools for the second time today after Ohio State takes down Arch Manning and Texas in his debut as the official starter, not fill-in starter. ACC, Clemson tonight with LSU can make it a pretty significant day for the ACC sucks narrative. But I'm sure FSU fans right now don't care about that. They care about how absolutely lit they're going to be tonight celebrating this victory over Alabama and what it means for the rest of the season. Let's hope that Doak stands. Let's hope that not just the bathrooms are better, but the field survives what might be, I'm assuming, a storming of the field. I believe there's a new ACC rule for storming the field. So you got to be careful about that. There's fines available, but I'm sure FSU won't care about paying that. And look, Thomas Castellanos, he talked trash. He said things about Alabama. And look, man, I don't know what's going to happen for the rest of the season with him there, but he's a legend forever for Florida State for this game alone. Castellanos takes the knee. Alabama has no timeouts left. 1:50 on the clock. Just unbelievable. I don't know how this win prediction works, that it's 99%. What could FSU possibly do in 1:34 to allow Alabama to score 15 points and win the game, or 14 points and tie? Like, what would have to happen with 1:25 for it to be not 100%? Or is it just it doesn't go to 100% till the game's over because weird shit happens? Carry go Knowles. We're still pissed. Unbelievable. I'm kind of at a loss for words. Glad we did this. Glad we covered it. Overrated. Or everybody else is underrated, right? Mike Norvell should look a lot freaking happier, don't you think? It's 40 seconds left, bro. You're fine. 3rd and 14, 36 seconds. One more knee does it. FSU wins. Upsets number 8 Alabama. 31-17 in Doak. Doak, which was just renovated and fixed, might not survive the day. Bowl game, Bama. Bolana. Unbelievable victory. Big Ten owns the SEC. Well, I mean, this is the ACC owning the SEC. Maybe a future Big Ten member. But right now, this is the ACC owns the SEC. Got to give it to Florida State. Second big victory of the year. First was over the ACC, ironically. Now a big win for the ACC over the SEC. Mike Norvell, a moment of vindication. There's still 11 games to go. I caution everybody on that. I will caution myself if Miami were to win tomorrow night against Notre Dame. But that was fucking impressive, man. All conferences own the SEC. Well, so far it's 2 of them. ACC's got another shot tonight with Clemson and LSU. It'll be another moment. The Big 12 did not own the SEC as Auburn won last night against Baylor pretty convincingly. I think Dave Aranda is not a very good coach. But it's going to be fun in Tallahassee tonight. The grass isn't going to have much fun, but Tallahassee is going to have a lot of fun tonight. Wow. I cannot wait to check Twitter and social for a minute. Stick around here for a minute. Probably there's a chance we might come back on and do maybe Utah and UCLA, get some more practice doing this. Definitely need a break, eat some dinner, watch Clemson and LSU. But if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. If you're over on X and Twitter, before we wrap up here in a few minutes, please come over to YouTube. Give us a like at least. Consider subscribing. We'd love that. Catch you on one of our other shows. We'd love to talk to as many fans of as many different teams as possible. Possibility we'll come back on later tonight for Utah, UCLA, or maybe just a late night wrap-up conversation. For certain, Flo and I will be on Monday night with our Aftermath show where we wrap up everything from the weekend ahead. Probably do that a little bit earlier. We started doing it at 5 o'clock West Coast time, 8 o'clock Eastern time, but that is the kickoff of the TCU UNC game. So we might come on a little bit earlier than that. And for sure, we will be back live with our main show Wednesday nights, College Football Express, 8:45 p.m. Eastern time, where we will have a ton of talk about for week 2, plus some of the stories that kept on going from this. And man, are there stories from this week 1. And we still have massive games to go. We've got Clemson and LSU. We have Utah coming to the Rose Bowl in UCLA. We have Cal at Oregon State. And I think Cal's an interesting team that could either be 3-9 this year or 8-4 and do some damage. Like, I literally don't know what that team's going to do. We still have Virginia Tech and South Carolina and Atlanta tomorrow. Virginia Tech, they've kind of been looked at less than Florida State. Maybe they do something with South Carolina. Miami and Notre Dame tomorrow night, number 5 versus number 10 at Hard Rock. We'll not be doing a live watch party for that, but maybe I'll come on and do a freak out after that. And then Monday night, we have the debut of Bill Belichick. TCU heading in there as 3.5-point favorites against North Carolina. We also have some prop bets on how many times we see Jordan on camera. But with that, I think going to take a little break. Definitely watch Clemson LSU. See you guys on social. Thanks for everything, especially our super chats. Carrie Go Knowles, thank you so much, man. Subscribe, check our channel. Maybe we'll come on later on for another game. But if not, I hope you guys had some fun. Congrats to all the FSU fans. Sorry, all the Alabama fans. The social media sphere is going to be wild. And thoughts and prayers, Paul Feinbaum.